has live music. Get ready to Bonnaroo right from your living room as the biggest artists take the stage. Bonnaroo Music Festival. Streaming live to all Hulu subscribers. Presented by Ray-Ban Meta. Iconic style meets Meta AI.
Dear Texas, this is Kona Fancy, part of our premium line of Cafe Au Lait Reserve. With notes of nectarine, maple, and macadamia, this full-bodied coffee was grown just for you. Cafe Au Lait Reserve, brought to Texas with love from HEB.
At Ace, however you grill, we've got the perfect one for you. Because only your local Ace has all the best brands in one place, like Weber, Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Blackstone. That sounds pretty perfect.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
President Trump posting on Truth Social earlier this hour that the deal with China is done, subject to final approval by him and by President Xi. Trump says that full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied up front by China. He says Chinese students will have access or will continue to have access to American colleges and universities, although he does not specifically spell out Harvard in that. And he does say that the U.S. will get tariffs of 55% and China will get tariffs of 10%. He described the relationship as excellent. No word, at least in these Truth Social posts, about what will happen to export controls. Still awaiting more details on a lot of these things, and we'll have more on this story throughout the day right here on CNBC, along with any market reaction. Squawk Box will be right back.
At PGIM, finding opportunity in fixed income today helps secure tomorrow. Our time-tested fixed income suite, backed by over 145 years of risk experience, helps investors meet their goals. PGIM Investments, shaping tomorrow today.
I'm into comedy. I'm also into flambanging. What I'm not into is heartburn. That's why I take Voquezna.
Here in Keenan's stomach, Voquezna can kick some acid and relieve heartburn related to non-erosive GERD.
Voquezna is the first and only FDA-approved treatment of its kind.
And it heals erosive esophagitis, known as erosive GERD.
Ooh la la.
93% of adults with erosive GERD were healed by 2 months. Of those healed, 79% stayed healed. Plus, Voquezna can provide heartburn-free days and nights. Other serious stomach conditions may exist. Don't take if allergic to Voquezna or while on rilpivirine. Serious allergic reactions include trouble breathing, rash, itching, and swelling of face, lips, tongue, or throat. Serious side effects may include kidney problems, intestinal infection, fractures, life-threatening skin reactions, low B12 or magnesium levels, and stomach growths. Tell your doctor about your medical conditions, medications, and if you have diarrhea, persistent stomach pain or fever, decreased or bloody urine, seizures, dizziness, irregular heartbeat, jitteriness, chills, shortness of breath, muscle aches or weakness, spasms of hands, feet, or voice.
Voquezna can help kick some acid, and so can you.
Ask your doctor about Voquezna.
Golf is not a religion, but it does have cathedrals. These courses do more than just test your character. They reveal it. Peter Millar, the official outfitter of the United States Open.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
We created the club to give investors more confidence in their investing decisions.
There's a lot of learning that can happen by just listening to Jim and Jeff in the morning. Gives you a diversification in your portfolio. The return on investment for the club pays for itself.
Jim Cramer's the benefit you get that you can't get anywhere else. He has a unique ability to know the market, explain it to people. It's a great value.
Get invested. Join the club today. Go to cnbc.com/join Jim. So I'm not saying what.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Joining us right now on set to talk about everything from Washington to Wall Street is former Treasury Secretary Jack Lew. He's also a former OMB director and currently a professor at Columbia University. And
Order filled.
Jack, I was going to start with
Order
maybe
submitted.
we talk some of the trade talks, some of the other things, but we've already gotten into it here in the commercial break.
The market is open. How long did that take?
Let's just go straight to it. What are the problems we have right now with the debt and the deficit? And how do we get our arms around it?
The problem we have is we're on an unsustainable path in terms of the deficit and the debt, and the bill that's working its way through Congress makes it much worse. You know, you can have a debate as to whether you're adding $3 or $6 trillion.
Order canceled.
Whichever end you're at, it's too much.
Well, Republicans are at.
Order canceled.
They're talking about growth, and that's what we were talking about with you. We need to raise taxes, in your view, and I said, well, then we won't get the growth that we need. But you said it all comes down to Social Security.
No, I think what you need to do is start with not making the problem worse. There's tax cuts that are being added, not just extended.
You mean the tips and the things like that?
Well, a host of things, business tax cuts, estate tax cuts.
Those might be good, right?
So they're not actually all showing up in the budget. They're being put in for a few years, and then there's this fiction that they're going to go away. Yeah, but we all know that sunsets never come to tax cuts. So that's why these bigger numbers of the debt impact are real.
I mean, just looking at it, though, are you now in favor of just extending the tax cuts from 2017 and making those permanent?
I would go and pick and choose amongst them as to what are most essential. I don't think that the notion that was done in 2017 should be in place for all time is correct. I understand the concern people have that this wouldn't be a great time to raise taxes. It's not a good time to cut
always
taxes.
A good time, Jack.
It's not a good time to cut taxes. And this bill cuts taxes. So this is making the problem worse.
It seems like it would be political suicide for anybody, Democrat or Republican, to say we're just going to let these cuts expire and face a huge tax increase on American families across the board.
If the debate in January, and I have a piece of running in Bloomberg this morning where I make this case, if the debate this year had started out, how do we deal with a deficit that's out of control and a debt that's out of control? You could have started with the building blocks. How do you not make the problem worse? Instead, there's a pile-on of new tax cuts.
We need to go back to the Biden administration to start then, Jack, obviously.
Well, I think we could have a debate over...
Okay, but we are here either way, and you're talking $3 trillion. Okay, we're at 37.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what do you want to do with, I mean, you don't want to cut spending. I don't think Democrats ever do. But what do you do on the revenue side? Where do you want to raise taxes to balance the budget? You did it with Clinton, right? With the OMB. You were OMB director. How do you do it again? Where do you get the revenue?
Look, you start by not making it worse. You don't add to the problem. And
well, then we got to go back to 2020, Jack. And that was my point.
You don't pretend that you're paying for it when you're not. And you don't pay for part of it by taking health and nutrition benefits away from the most vulnerable in society.
But Jack, we were at 800, 700 billion before the pandemic was the deficit with Trump in the first term. We got to 2 trillion under Biden, even though the pandemic was over, and we're still at 2 trillion. So, you know, I know you just want to come and just say, you don't dig where you keep in. It's Trump's fault. It's 3 billion and all that.
Trillion.
3 trillion, sorry. 3 trillion. But we know, but everybody's guilty. Yeah. Biden was guilty. There were $2 trillion deficits one year after another with him. What do we do, in your view? Where do we raise taxes and without hurting growth to get it done?
I think that you start by asking, what are we going to have to do? We all know Social Security is going to need some reforms to remain well-funded for the next generation.
Right.
I was part of the 1983 Social Security reforms. It was hard. It took bipartisan cooperation to do things that were hard but reasonable. You start by having a bipartisan conversation. You'll never do that with one side doing it to the other. Hard decisions are made in bipartisan
Would it be raising the age to 70 or means testing? Or?
I'm not going to sit here and negotiate what a package would look like. But if you want to know where you raise revenues, one of the places you raise revenues is to pay for Social Security. That would reduce the deficit also.
How about the high end? Raise the high end? Yeah. You got to go to you got to broaden the base and get a lot of the middle. You need to raise taxes, right?
I think that most Americans, if they face the reality that Social Security is 70% funded going into the future, would say we got to do something to make it 100% funded. And then you do a mixture of things that don't. In 1983, the changes did not change the quality of life for people dramatically, but it filled a hole for over 50 years. You know, it's something, 50 years is a long time.
So you would raise capital gains taxes?
I go back to where I started. I would start by not making things worse right now. You keep asking me what would I do to get better. I'm worried that this bill going through Congress will make the problem worse, and it puts the burden on people. 16 million people losing health care is a big deal.
We're getting different health care.
No, you know, you say getting different health care, but if you take away Medicaid or if you take away a premium tax credit for the ACA, most of those people aren't going to afford it.
You wouldn't take away any of the 7 million prime working age healthy adults that get Medicaid. You wouldn't try to transition them to work or off of Medicaid?
Employers have taken advantage of this too by not offering health care.
If employers provided health care to all these workers, you wouldn't have had 20 million uncovered.
And that's what the Republicans have said. Even a Republican we had on today, a Republican senator today, said let the employers pick up some of these.
I would be delighted if everyone had employer coverage.
That would
they
actually
don't,
do this.
Though. They don't.
You know, Secretary Lew, just looking back, the national debt, when you were secretary, went from $16.7 trillion to $19.9 trillion. That's an over $3 trillion increase. I mean, that's what perplexity tells me. Is that the case, and what happened? That was a $3 trillion increase over the time of your tenure.
Look, the arithmetic is simple. Whenever there's a deficit, you're going to be increasing the national debt. So your annual, when you make a budget, there's only, you know, a couple of variables. You have revenue, you have spending, and what's left over, you got to borrow.
We should have stopped digging then.
That's why I'm saying
we should have stopped back then, not just now.
We were engaged in a serious bipartisan negotiation where we were prepared to do hard things. Both sides were prepared to do hard things.
About
with you know the grand bargain negotiation.
Yeah, but why didn't President Obama make that a binding vote?
It didn't. Simpson Bowles wasn't the negotiation. The negotiation was a grand bargain with Obama and Boehner, and it got close. It didn't come together because, you know, there was just a need for more revenue than they could have Republicans accept, and they were demanding more tax cuts, more spending cuts than Democrats would vote for. If that could have been brought into balance, we would have had a deal.
So where do you see, I guess, the seeds for that in Washington today? It seems to me like it's gotten tougher.
I think there are very few C's, and the reason that I'm reminding people that we've got a big problem and the only way to deal with it ultimately as a serious conversation is to slow down before you make it worse, because it only gets harder. At some point, there's going to be a bad event in the world, in the bond market, and people are going to say, oh my God, what do we do about it? At that moment, if the problem is $3 or $6 trillion worse, then the consequences are that much harder.
You mean we're spending like this when there's not a financial crisis?
This is not a moment when we ought to be digging such a deep hole. You know,
promising so much.
I'm a big believer that when the economy is in crisis, you do what you have to do. And, you know, at the beginning of the Biden administration, it was the end of COVID. At the beginning of the Obama administration, it was the financial crisis. Frankly, we should have not put the brakes on when we did in the Obama years. If we could have kept going for a year, the economy would have grown.
We're still at the pandemic level spending instead of going back to pre-pandemic. And you don't want to cut any spending.
Yeah, you're not hearing me say I wouldn't cut any spending.
How do we get back to pre-pandemic levels of spending?
I think the goal has to be, what can you do to achieve greater fiscal sustainability without hurting people inordinately? In the debate right now, there's this pretending going on that you take nutrition benefits away from people and it doesn't hurt. You take health insurance coverage away, it doesn't hurt. You were talking earlier this morning about rural hospitals. There will be an impact on rural hospitals if 16 million people go uninsured. It means uncompensated care goes up. It means marginal hospitals will close. It means that people will have hundreds of miles to go to get
How were we getting by at pre-pandemic levels? I don't remember this
I think
catastrophic.
you got to also take inflation.
Well, you got to take defense. Maybe you don't want to spend. Maybe you don't want defense spending.
And
you don't want defense spending.
You're kind of confusing a bunch of things. I mean, we had a lot less people covered by health care before the Affordable Care Act. It's a good thing we have more people covered now.
I'm just talking pre-pandemic.
No, but when you take away the premium support for the Affordable Care Act, that's not pandemic legislation. That's going away and taking away part of the Affordable Care Act that's helped. There are going to be 5 to 6 million people who lose health insurance because the premium tax credits are gone.
I mean, the ACA giveth and it taketh away. It caused Medicaid to be growing at 3 times what any other entitlement has been growing at, And that's not how it was intended. And you don't even want to touch that.
You say it's not how it was intended, but from 1964, when Medicaid was created till now, there have been a bunch of decisions to change Medicaid. We covered kids in the 1990s. That was millions who got on. In the Affordable Care Act, it was the way that...
We're out of time there.
He sure knows these parts well.
Folks say the planes whisper to him.
Outlaws in 500 feet. Rerouting.
Making a left!
Innovation changes everything.
Man, he's good.
With one investment, you can access the NASDAQ 100 innovators who are rethinking the world. Before investing, carefully read and consider fund investment objectives, risks, charges, expenses, and more in prospectus at Invesco.com.
When logic bends, when certainties shatter, when left is right and right is left, which way do you turn? Go beyond the headlines. A trusted global perspective. The Economist. Know which way is up.
At KPMG, we make the difference. It's not just something we say, it's what we do. Like uncovering unique insights that use AI to battle sepsis, developing bold industry solutions to enable first-of-its-kind farming automation, or creating better outcomes by using data to enhance critical community support services. Brighter insights, bolder solutions, better outcomes. It's how our people make the difference.
What Tractor Supply customers experience is personalized service made possible by T-Mobile for Business. With T-Mobile's reliable 5G business internet, employees get the information they need instantly. Tractor Supply goes further with T-Mobile for Business.
Experience the power of CNBC Pro. Track your portfolio from every angle on one optimized platform. Become a smarter investor with the power of CNBC Pro. Go to cnbc.com/getpro now.
There's a reason Chevy's called the heartbeat of America. Because we proudly roll trucks off the line in cities like Arlington. For the people who keep Texas moving. For them, only America's most dependable trucks will do. In every Chevy truck, dependability comes standard.
Now, get $4,250 total customer cash on this Chevy Silverado. Chevy drives Texas. Together, let's drive.
Stream now on Hulu.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Jim Cramer and David Faber at Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. Pre-market likes that softer than expected CPI print, 1/10 on headline and on core, as yields backing off, 2-year below 4, some rotation into small caps. Russell futures up more than 1%. Our roadmap begins with the president saying the U.S. has a trade deal with China, subject to final approval from him and President Xi.
Plus, we'll have the latest read on the consumer prices, as Carl just indicated, coming in less than expected. Core prices excluding food and energy also below estimates. And Elon Musk is walking back his social media posts, at least a bit, about President Trump, saying they went too far. Tesla shares are moving higher in the pre-market, building on yesterday's big gains, and we got a date on autonomous for Austin.
Let's begin with these U.S.-China trade talks. In the last hour, the president did post on Truth Social, quote, "Our deal with China is done, subject to final approval with President Xi and me. Full magnets and any necessary rare earths will be supplied up front by China." He went on to mention Chinese students having access to U.S. colleges and added, quote, "We're getting a total of 55% tariffs. China's getting 10%, says the relationship is excellent, Jim. We'll see how this gets received. We got a small China readout, but that was earlier this morning.
Right. Well, first, if you want to try to make money off, if you're a trader, it's General Motors, which had the most problem. They also agreed to $4 billion shifts in production from Mexico. So that's a clear ramp to 53, I think. Ford's got it, too. They were the two that were held back. There's a lot of misinformation. I've seen it even in an interview this morning. Here, they were giving this stuff to Germany and Japan. there was absolutely just a total stranglehold on the U.S. Let's not forget that. It was not done in a way that was in a vacuum where everybody was hurt. Second, there has to be some sort of way during this period where we develop something that will take their place. Mexico could be the way to do it. It is just shocking to me that we didn't have a game plan. No game plan. So the final thing I say is, David, there may be a deal, and there may be students involved, but we don't know what there's going to be involved with semiconductors.
No, we don't. There's no mention of chips here, which obviously we know is a very important part of at least what the Chinese were viewing as something that they felt was a key. So, yeah, students, rare earths, obviously, the magnets is, again, we're just dealing with a social media post, and we're reading into that at this point. The 55% number, when you really sort of get to where things are running in terms of an effective rate, even though it's 30%, there are lots of number of parts of the Chinese goods complex that are much higher. So you get to about 51%. So kind of in line with where the effective rate is right now. And that's all we know. We haven't heard from the Chinese yet.
No, we don't know. And the Chinese did have a kind of discouraging statement talking about how, look, we'll take it till we have to fight. When I say on the semiconductors, a lot of people feel it was Advanced Micro because they have a GPU. That's what you need. That's what NVIDIA has. And Advanced Micro's up a quick 10. A Micron is high bandwidth. That's also used for data centers. So that would be something we could give them. Sanjay Mehrotra's been very quiet about it, the CEO. But you might see NVIDIA going up here. Now, NVIDIA gave a very good talk. This was Jensen's time to go. Sovereign AI again, some with friends with an outfit called Mistral. It does LLMs. But I have to tell you, Carl, here it goes again. And I talked about it last night at the top of the show. They made a manifesto about quantum, about how quantum's here. There are 4 quantum stocks that we have to follow. Some of my people that I work with were very, I think that they were probably concerned that I went out and said, look, we ought to be looking at Rigetti. We ought to be looking at, the ones that people talk about. But they're going to fly.
There's a couple things happening. One is, you're right, Jensen saying that quantum is at an inflection point. It's going to solve some interesting problems in the coming years. Remember, he was a little more circumspect about the timeline a few months ago.
Boy, when I first talked to him about it a year ago, it's like, Jim, I mean, come on. Quantum isn't even that good.
Right.
Now quantum is, wow, really good.
Just to get a little more into that, let's listen to what Jensen did say specifically about quantum.
There's an inflection point happening in quantum computing. The number of logical qubits are starting to grow. Well, just like Moore's Law would, I could totally expect 10 times more logical qubits every 5 years, 100 times more logical qubits every 10 years. Those logical qubits would become better error corrected, more robust, higher performance, more resilient, and of course, will continue to be scalable.
Talking about developing new materials, Jim, at the molecular level, perhaps down the road. They do have this partnership with Novo on drug discovery.
Look, I've been waiting for that. Recursion was supposed to be 1, 2, and the drug person is excellent. I keep hoping that they do some big deals on cancer. You're able to, I've been listening to a lot of people who claim they have AI, and it's starting to bother me again because they're doing spreadsheets and calling it AI. After working with all of the sites that are now saying they're really good at math, they're awful at math. What bank would let them in? But you're seeing, I mean, I did a piece last night that basically said, okay, here we go. IONQ, D-Wave Quantum, Rigetti, quantum computing, go get them. And David, look at that. I'm not saying I'm a sage.
No.
I am saying that Jensen is giving the green light to a lot of companies that may mean absolutely nothing, but they have quantum in their name. I mean, Honeywell's been very honest and said, listen, we're not ready.
Right.
And IBM does have quantum, and that's one of the reasons why IBM is at an all-time high.
Those are incredible moves. If you were lucky enough to have decided that quantum was where you wanted to be at the beginning of this year, you are very happy, or even last year.
Well, what do you mean
Guys,
by that?
Well, I mean, I think it's not yet proven, right? We don't know.
But it's younger people who are really cashing in.
And you've made
sit here and tell people to buy Smucker.
You've made this point, right? You've made this point about nuclear and certain crypto assets.
Well, it's very disheartening. I'm disheartened by it.
Well, don't be disheartened.
Why?
By the way,
what value added do we have? I read the names.
You want to get heartened? Read Sam Altman's blog post from last night. It's entitled "The Gentle Singularity," and we had Jensen. I think when you when you talk about the leaders right now in terms of where the future is, it's Jensen, and it's a lot of it's Sam Altman.
Well, they're great friends. And with this, you remember, nothing took off.
I
with
took
NVIDIA
out a few things
until he
that just
gave Sam the
I took out a few things that just struck me in
please
what is
tell me something
in
good.
what is a letter that I think people should read because it's got a lot of different things in it. But part of it is, of course, talking about the near-term advances that are coming. As for the 2030s, for example, he writes, intelligence and energy ideas and the ability to make ideas happen are going to become wildly abundant. We hear that word a lot, by the way, abundant. These two have been the fundamental limiters on human progress for a long time. With abundant intelligence and energy and good governance, we can theoretically have anything else. He goes on to say, if we have to make the first million humanoid robots the old-fashioned way, but then they can operate the entire supply chain, digging and refining minerals, driving trucks, running factories to build more robots, which can then build more chip fabrication facilities, data centers, and the rate of progress will be quite different. And finally, last part I'll take for you guys, and the one I've been focused on, there will be very hard parts, like whole classes of jobs going away. But on the other hand, the world will be getting so much richer so quickly that we'll be able to seriously entertain new policy ideas we never could before. We probably won't adopt a new social contract all at once, but when we look back in a few decades, the gradual changes will have amounted to something big.
Well, okay.
Because nobody's going to have a job, so we're all going to be wandering around looking for some purpose. But we're going to have an age of abundance. An age of abundance.
You drive me crazy.
Thank you.
We
I've
have
succeeded.
a birth rate.
My work here is done.
We have a birth rate that's like the Handmaid's Tale, and we need people. And you may think that look, and we're rounding up people in this country and sending them where God knows where. We don't let anybody in the country. We have a series of jobs now that the only people who really wanted them were people who felt, look, this is how I can get my kid to a college, which is really kind of the goal. And you're going to need all the robots you can get, and you need robots making the robots. And I don't know why you are so cavalier about the idea that we have enough people in this country to do jobs.
I'm not talking about the population
Order
at this
filled.
point.
Order
in
filled.
terms of the lack of
Order
growth
submitted.
in certain countries. Obviously, our country is far from in danger. South Korea, they got a real problem. It's something like
Italy has a
0.7.
problem.
In Italy, yeah. But all that said, I just want to point out that you're going to continue to hear, whether it's this, whether it's Musk or Altman or Hassabis at DeepMind, this idea of an age of abundance coupled with huge social changes that may have to take place in the social safety net,
Industrial
perhaps,
Revolution.
or a universal income. It's coming
Order
fast.
filled.
Order filled.
Potentially. Now, I always sit here and remember we talked about autonomous
Order
cars 7 years
submitted.
ago, like they'd be here tomorrow, and they're finally just about
And they're about to
get here.
fly, too. I mean, Joby
So
just got a lot of
things-
money from the government.
They're not always right. in
Joby's
terms
real.
of-
I got to tell you, Carl, David probably in another time
Order submitted.
sat here and bemoaned the seamstresses.
Or the farmer.
He misses
Order
the agrarian economy.
filled.
This is the Jeffersonian period, David.
Order submitted.
A man brought us tomatoes, all right? So, enough.
Meantime,
What would it be life
on a
without
shorter
tomatoes?
timeline, there is consumer inflation on the radar today.
I got that
CPI
one.
for May coming in as expected, 2.4 year-on-year. You strip out food and energy, it's 2.8, just shy of forecast. Jim, some relief in cars, apparel, clearly energy, airfares, all down.
And I'm going to take the other side. Let's give me some light, but I don't have any glasses. Shelter remains very sticky, 3.9. And they've got, remember, there's no housing component. They got to get that down. These others could be ephemeral.
Order filled.
Order filled.
These
Order
still,
filled.
I mean, you could say we've not really seen the impact of tariffs, but housing's too expensive in this country. And
Order
we're not
submitted.
doing enough about it.
Redfin with the number today. The typical home sold in April took 40 days to get into contract. That's 5 days more than the prior April.
Well, the last few days with the bond market, we've seen Lennar go
Order
up, we've seen
filled.
Toll Brothers go up. But David, when you want to buy a house in this country, it's too expensive, and it never came down the way it was supposed to come down because there's not been enough construction. We never talk about it, but zoning is the enemy of people who are aspiring to the middle class.
Mortgage apps, though, today, Jim, highest in 2 months, or biggest jump in 2 months.
Good number. I was gratified by that because bonds have been stable.
And that's with a 30-year fixed at 6.93.
No, I know. But people can't. How long can people stay and where they are? I don't know.
Well, they've been staying longer than they would otherwise
Well, they
have
don't
if
have
mortgage
the
rates
birth
had been
rate.
lower and they
You don't have
had
the birth rate.
the affordability is nowhere near where it once was. You know that. I mean, it's versus 5 years ago.
Right. No, it's not good.
No.
But do people relate that to politics, or is it just still one more thing that the lumpen proletariat doesn't care about?
I don't know. The age of abundance is coming. Don't worry.
Age of abundance. Where did you get this? You watched some PBS show? Canceled.
PBS, yeah.
It's all linear now.
When we come back this morning, Elon Musk, as David said, is mea culpa regarding his social media posts criticizing the president. Got some fresh posts from the president, by the way, on Truth Social. Adding to the China readout, President Xi and I are going to work closely together to open up China to American trade. This would be a great win for both countries. We'll talk about what that means when Squawk on the Street continues.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julie Sweet. Welcome to another edition of Reinvented with Accenture. Today is a very special episode. Normally, we're talking about reinventing a company. Today, we're talking about reinventing a country.
Payments have to be fast, they have to be secure, they have to be convenient, and they have to be inclusive. Those are things which are not negotiable. And when you think about it, there is no single commercial transactions which doesn't rely on a payment at some point.
What if you could put aside your doubts and look to retirement with excitement? At Bright
Order
House Financial,
filled.
we specialize
filled.
in annuities
Order
and life
filled.
insurance that help protect what you've earned and ensure it lasts.
Order submitted.
Bright House Financial, build for what's ahead.
Order submitted.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Order submitted.
Never miss a moment.
One of the people who I've respected over the years, Joe Kiernan and Rick Santelli. This just came out, and we'll just play that for a second.
Personal income is up 8/10.
I think these stable coins are actually going to be the savior of dollar hegemony in the world, not a detractor from it.
We're going to address the debt problem at the same time as we are making the economy work again.
That looks really high.
It is high.
Whenever you're ready. Are there any sticks?
Nope.
You sure? Here we go.
It's time to push your limits.
You're doing great.
Whoa, is that a buffalo?
Babe, that's a cow.
The Subaru Crosstrek Wilderness. Adventure on the edge.
Girls' night.
Girls' night. Girls' night.
I got us a cheese board.
Oh, thank you. Huh.
That did look bigger in the store.
Oh, remember that place we got burritos from last time?
No, but with Ring, I can find it. Food delivery?
Nice.
There it is.
Wow, this really makes you look smart.
Thanks.
Introducing Smart Video Search. With Ring, you can type it and find it. Learn more at ring.com.
Hey! Drop the burritos!
Elon Musk walking back his criticisms about the president on social media. Overnight on X, he posted, quote, "I regret some of my posts about President Trump last week. They went too far." As you may recall, their differences over the tax and spending cuts bill extended into some back and forth responses on social media about other issues. Meanwhile, Jim, Tesla's going to go for 4 days higher today. It's up 17% since Friday.
We got a lot of downgrades, and it visibly stuck. It didn't go down, and then it went up 10%. I'll give you a good example. Guggenheim has a sell on it today. If I crossed out the word sell and I read it, I would be buying. I mean, it's that positive. It's about robotaxi, and it's about the total addressable market. And initially, Tesla won't do that well. But I've got to tell you, I would never sell Tesla on this. And then Piper Sandler with just a few bullet points about why it's going to be fantastic. Driverless Teslas have been spotted in Austin. Of course, he's walked back when it's going to be. But I continue to believe that you've got to own the stuff.
Yeah, Piper's point is that actually higher car prices will drive the market for robo-taxis.
I got a kick out of reading it, but the fact is, David, stock's bottom, and now you're talking about, take a look.
This was just last week after the posts, you were saying, I don't think you can own it.
270. It's at 3. I caught 60 points.
It's okay. All right.
What do you want from me?
I want answers is what I want. I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth. There you go. You got it.
Yeah, you can't. Now, I will tell you, David, in a spirit,
I just want you to explain. All right? Because I took the incoming for you.
In spirit of goodness.
Yes.
The notion of what he's saying about Jensen and their partnership on autonomous, wow. Because there are a lot of people who feel that their autonomous does not have what Waymo has, which is the miles run. But
well, they don't, and they have a different approach. And I discussed that with Musk, obviously, a few weeks ago when we sat down
can we
in terms
play
of the approach.
Can we play it? Because it's seminal.
I don't know with that sound, but yeah,
it's seminal,
we do have Elon obviously talking about the rollout in Austin, which is going to begin June 22nd, and obviously on a very modest basis, but moving up from there pretty quickly. Take a listen.
We have cars driving 24/7 with drivers in the cars, and we see essentially no interventions. So we want to be very careful with the first introduction of unsupervised full self-driving, meaning that the car's driving around with no one in it.
Right.
So we're going to
no one behind a driver's.
Well, yes, and sometimes no one in it at all.
Right.
If it's going to pick someone up. So the car has to be incredibly safe.
And that's where they are. Obviously, he said 10 to 12 at first, and there's some video, and then they'll quickly ramp it up.
Right.
From there to as many as well over 1,000 in a short amount of time.
Jensen's comments here. The work that Elon, is doing with Grok, his self-driving car, his Optimus, these are every single one of them world-class, every single one of them revolutionary, every single one of them are going to be gigantic opportunities, and we're delighted. I'm delighted to be working with him. Boom, I rest my case. That's what the story is. This is a partnership that has made it so that I think that he's leapfrogged.
Well, it's powering the neural network that is powering the cars. Is NVIDIA,
I think it's
right?
the future because that's what I think.
And he said, it's like, I can't get away from NVIDIA chips now. By the way, he was also talking about XAI there, where he was talking about
Yes, but it was amazing during that conference call a couple years ago, where he said, like, Jensen's, he's extracting his monopolist, but you can't help it. You got to use it. And this sounds like a very good partnership. Maybe there's like an era of peace that Musk is trying to be.
Meanwhile, NVIDIA's only, not that far off from an all-time high?
$10.
Now you're talking.
So you think last week one of the game theories of how the president could ice Elon would be to have a federal policy that favors Waymo's technology over Musk? You do not think that's possible?
Well, I think that David has talked about a particular felon from New York who's not alive anymore, and that may be a bridge too far when you tweet about it.
Oh, yes, the Epstein thing was, once you go Epstein, it's hard to come back, yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of the holy grail bad.
Yeah.
But I do think that, you've got, I want to own Tesla.
All right, and again, just to make it clear, at the time after the tweet storm from him, and I said to you, you said don't own it. Well, now you say own it because why?
Okay, because when I saw that it didn't go down on this vicious series of sells, when I saw that we're that close to Austin, and I think Austin's going to go very well because a lot of the problems are autonomous. People feel he doesn't have it. And I think that right in your face, I think the humanoid's going to be gigantic. It's at 2030. You said it, I said it, but it's going to be ahead of that. I'm going to rent a humanoid in the next 2 years. I'm going to have you come over to the house.
You're not going to have a humanoid to rent in the next 2 years. I don't think it's going to be available.
The X1?
You can also get a 22-year-old, young worker to come over and help clean up after the party.
They're not going to be around. They're going to be deported.
Who makes it? I got to find out who makes those. I think it's X1 out.
But listen, Sam Altman, the first million humanoid robots are going to be the old-fashioned way, but they can operate the entire supply chain.
Order submitted.
The humanoids, the reason why we think about that is there used to be little robots, and Jensen said our whole universe is made for people who are 5'7" to 6'2", and we have to have robots that's hot size, so everything's normal. I am telling you, it's not at 2030, it's 2028, and I think you ought to put in for one.
Wow, that's not long from now. We'll get Kramer's Mad Dash countdown to the opening bell. One more look here at the futures, responding nicely to CPI and the president's posts about the handshake again in London. Stay with us.
At AT&T Business, we confidently guarantee our network. What we can't guarantee? Enough hours in the workday.
Order canceled.
Projects always going as planned.
3 days, max.
Whoa, more like 3 weeks.
Order filled.
Hey, and closing up shop on time?
Still open?
Order filled.
Order filled.
They're open. Not tonight. But with AT&T Business, you can get the connectivity you depend on, or we'll make it right.
Life is always changing, and our Lovesac couch adapts to it all. Gathering around for game day one moment, reconfiguring for entertaining the next. And tomorrow, a new look entirely. Because Lovesac adapts to life, our life.
Down, up, right, left, inside, out. Sometimes it's hard to make sense from nonsense. Go beyond the headlines. A trusted global perspective. The Economist. Know which way is up.
Is this how you're hoping to retire? Well, hope isn't a good retirement strategy. You've worked for a comfortable retirement for years. Now you need to plan for retirement income. Learn ways to avoid common mistakes, like being too conservative or not setting retirement goals. Have someone on your side to keep you on track.
Call for Fisher's Comfortable Retirement Kit with the help you need to make your retirement a success, including the Investor's Guide to a Comfortable Retirement, 13 retirement blunders to avoid, and maximize your Social Security. Call 1-800-759-4477.
Morning. So I did pretty good. I passed 2 Tradeify, 1 Apex. Yeah, 3 for 3. That's how it's supposed to be. Hopefully I can sneak one in and get 21 PA and not leave it on hold. The reset one you gave me, the 150. Yeah, I got 2 of them was free from your reset codes. Near payout on the other 2 months, so I think it's slow today. So lucky that the power went out right after CPI. Yeah, it's back on now.
What just happened?
Yeah, it's crazy storm here.
I'm looking to talk to sophisticated investors, beginning investors.
Yeah, if not, I'm gonna run outside and turn on my 3G on my or 5G on my phone and just log in.
That CPI print moved yields, as you can see, 10-year was around 4.5.
I think we're gonna dump by the open.
About 4.43, pricing in a little more Fed cut action, maybe beginning in September, and we will get a 10-year note auction today at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget the opening bells in a few minutes. You can catch us anytime, anywhere. Just listen to and follow the Squawk on the Street Opening Bell podcast.
I want us to dip and rip though, but that's just me.
Value you're going to get from making better investments.
But it says CPI was bad. That's what I was told.
Join the club today. Go to cnbc.com/join.
Marshall's buyers have a very particular set of skills. They can hunt down the latest trends.
Looks like Apex is paying out now, approving people. They're approving a lot. No, approving a lot of payouts now. Yeah. So I might start promoting them again. We'll see. Because 2 of our guys just got approved today.
Finding the things you and your family need to be well is kind of a big deal.
Massive payouts. Yeah.
Is an extra big deal.
Try to delay some payouts so I can get more money. Because what they banned a lot of people, delayed the payouts, and did 90% sales like twice. So they need money.
It doesn't get extra bigger than that. Shop tons of extra big deals at CVS today. And come back for more every 2 weeks.
No, it's what's 3? No, it's lower. I think it was 3 or 4 million after paying everybody and the staff. All bills. Yeah. You know, I think it's gone down. I think the sales went down, honestly. Because, yeah, so much competition now.
So whether it's a caregiver at home, support in a senior living community,
Now it's even harder.
care.com makes it easier to find the right fit. Join now and find care at care.com.
Yeah.
When logic bends, when
I mean, it's good, but it sucks when you're trying to wait for a payout and, you know, don't know you get denied or not. It's a week, it's like, I'm so afraid you get denied and you gotta redo everything. Yeah. Yeah, because I almost blew mine after I got denied. I was like, man, it makes you go on tilt. Yeah, a lot. I think my buddy got denied 4,000 on 2 payouts, and then he blew all 20 PA after that. Oh yeah, it's really good. We got 2 minutes.
The opening bell is brought to you by New Bean. Invest like the future.
What's up, buddy? Let's do this. Don't follow the bot. The bot's gonna be dumb today. I think it went long near high of day.
Let's get to it, Mad Dad.
Yeah.
Countdown on opening bell is 2 minutes away. What do you got?
Last quarter, Starbucks, Brian Nickel, people thought he laid an egg. It was awful. Stock broke to 75. We stuck by it, David, and I just think this is what happens if you stick by quality management with a quality product. This morning, the FT has a piece that says Starbucks has received a lot of interest, according to Brian Nickel,
That's 5
in the
places
sale
red,
of a
red.
stake in the China business, and it's very, very bullish, and it talks about how there are a number
Go back down,
of
yeah.
people who would like to buy a stake. The good news, they've got a lot of interest, said Nickel, and I'm going to leave it to you on your M&A front to see, well, what could this mean?
So 15 minutes still got some more upside, but 3 minutes looks like it's going down.
Consolidate some sort of a value for the overall.
So yeah, I'm looking for a dip.
Declining sales.
So many outlets in China, and they're still growing.
But I thought that you would like to hear that, because what it says is that this man is taking action. He's not just sitting
Yeah,
back.
I don't know why we pumped on bad data, so.
So I really like this store. 7,758 stores. I like the call. I think it's a buy.
All right.
There you go.
There you go.
I was gonna short it when it hit the 94, but power went out.
It's not the only story today. There's a report that General Mills is considering selling some of the China Haagen-Dazs business over there.
And something I saw a rare sell issued on General Mills, but the smucker disaster yesterday was jarring, including the gigantic charge.
Here we go. Puts a 10% down. Please don't chop today. Yeah. See, the huge pump are only up 0.25%, so it's not much. Still got room to go up.
It's true where people want to go. People do want to find the next NVIDIA. It may not be out there because NVIDIA is feeling pretty special. But I don't blame anyone for hunting. It's a very 1990s-like market. Last night I spoke
I
with
want a
Jeff
bigger
Robbins.
pump so I can short
He
it.
is
Doesn't look like
positioning
it's
himself as
going to
being
have a
out the
pump.
backbone of the internet with AI.
Yep,
And it
going
reminded
back
me very
down.
much about John Chambers being the backbone of the internet. You began to get Cisco having its big move, but you also know, Dave, remember the customers of Cisco, the telcos. It's got a little telco feel to it, I think.
So you think there's a lot of momentum?
Remember, it lasts for a long time. The copper mountains last for a long time.
Yep.
And people make a lot of money, and then they end.
Yeah, we went back from last night. Oh, yesterday, I think. Guess I'll cancel my short now. It's too late.
Order canceled. Order canceled.
Damn, I knew it's gonna dump too. Fuck. I had a short, but just took 10 points on me. Yeah.
I think it's now. I'm putting it as the cheapest AI story there is. It's a combination of Splunk and traditional Cisco. Do we have anything that
We do. We do have some sound of Chuck Robbins with Jim. Take a listen.
I shorted. I just took profit too early. Let me see my spy put the screen so I can get out of it. Nope, my spy put red as hell.
They're querying Splunk, they're querying the traditional network technology, and the whole vision was that we could bring all that to life in an easy way for our customers, and we launched a major part of that today at Cisco Live.
See, it's interesting, Carl. In the old days, there would be 15 companies that followed Cisco, and they all raised numbers in this. Now it's not like that because Cisco is large cap. People want to know, should I take a shot at GitLab down here? Is it time to buy Datadog? This may be the moment for Oklo, David. I don't know.
You don't know.
I said I don't know.
Okay, I'm just
the value added of you saying I
told you numerous times. I'm here to repeat what you say back to you. That's my role.
I am a robot. I repeat what I say.
Although, here I go. $65,000 a new idea for you. Well, not new idea. This Talon Energy today was actually looking up a lot in the pre-market. Not up much now at all. But they signed another deal. This is all part of our continued coverage of AI in so many different ways, whether it's NVIDIA or whether
I wanted to go back to 800 so I can long. Just right now, I'm just no clue what we're gonna do. Looks like it's gonna drop more.
Amazon, which has committed what $20 billion to the state of Pennsylvania. What you need, that's the bill. You need.
I can't trust the bot. Bot fucked me last night. Yesterday.
They signed a new deal, new power purchase agreement with Amazon that is Talon.
I came out hard in favor of
2,000 megawatts at their Susquehanna site. Amazon Web Services, they deliver by 2032 through 2042. So again, these are long-term plans, long-term projects.
10 more minutes before I can actually take a play.
Stuff that's going to be creating this age of abundance that is apparently coming, according to Sam Altman, and that will include a lot of energy.
Yeah, being going from 2.5 growth to now 5. Rusty Brazil, my guy on energy, just said, listen, we do not have enough turbines, but anybody who has turbines is going to work. I recommended Talon last night as part of a wholesale belief that, you know what?
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. I said, yeah, Talon was a good one.
Look, they're nuclear as well, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm capitulating on the idea that we need more power. There's nothing I can do. Anyone who's in it. Now, it's GE Vernova.
It's the exact chart I had just pulled up, Jim. Not more to talk about the backdrop of some momentum softening yesterday. Core Weaves.
891 or 855 you want to go wrong.
This is a big roll because it's had such a boom. These are all parabolic moves. At the same time, there isn't a day goes by that people don't say I need more power. And GE Vernova, by the way, is not going through plants to build it. They're not doing that because everybody's been burned so many times. And yet, this is, boy, by wolf, but I think this is the time you want to do it. I think you got to build out here. This NVIDIA cannot save 145 to save the sun. It just can't. 145 is a readout. It can't get there.
It's a good excuse to talk a little bit of Europe today, Jim, because
see the squeezes are back on NQ, so I think it's gonna pump later again.
Their capacity is going to go up by a factor of 10 in 2 years.
Earlier, the whole thing was filled up.
Where Blackstone committed more money to Europe, Netflix committed more money to Europe.
Sending was the proxy as that went up. You could buy NVIDIA. David, all anyone cares about, and I think this is wrong, is that an NVIDIA chip can part of the package.
Okay, bot went short at 966. I might follow. I don't know.
Order canceled. Order
I think I'll follow the short.
Still very much unclear where our
Let's see if it's good or not.
EU stand. Last I can remember was the Truth Social post.
Order submitted. Order filled.
We did hear from
Yeah.
one EU official today. They expect a framework by the 9th, but a full deal is going to take more time.
Yeah, I'd say don't follow the bot, but I think it's good. I don't know.
He still has the power under the law using to assert that there's an emergency to impose these.
Yeah, I'm red. Fucking bot. We'll see.
But it's the Supremes are going to have to decide.
Yeah, they made that.
I still think it's good, so I'll size down on this one.
But keep
Order
hearing
filled. Order submitted.
South Korea,
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow bot. I'm short at 970, 966 on a few accounts.
Could be so buoyant that people expect deals.
Yeah, bot just went short. I mean, the long was stupid because of CPI, but I think the short might be good for a little bit. I mean, it's gonna pump later. Remember, it's always buy the dip to hit all-time high. Yeah. Bot's been getting wrecked shorting, so we'll see.
To be as good as the European countries.
Don't fuck me, bot.
Uniquely must be saying, are you kidding me, Spain? We can be every bit as
You know, I was bag holding for like 5 hours yesterday. I took a nap, came back, finally got out green. I kind of tilted. I was like, fuck it, just let it blow. Blow will get out. I don't even care anymore.
Doesn't seem to be a concern.
Not at all. Not one bit.
Yeah, because if I got out, I only have like 500 buffer left. It's pointless, you know.
You disagree with that?
Well, I did have 200 left on that TPT, but got back up to 1500, so that took a long time.
Order filled. Order submitted. Order canceled.
Get this payout. This Apex.
Order submitted.
And these numbers that talk about how people are actually getting much more.
I did. I traded this morning before my power went out.
I think there's a level of hope that we have.
And I traded last night. Yeah, it's back on for now. Yeah, it's storming hard here.
We did have this big Morgan Stanley Financials conference this week. Yeah. Jamie Dimon would not be
Did you trade it last night? Damn it.
Yesterday, adding to some loss provisions. Commitment on the takedown.
Order filled.
Order filled. But let's go to the other one, Capital One, which is the issue.
Order filled. Order submitted.
For people
I'm siding down, so
Order canceled. Order submitted.
95, 70, 65.
Merger with Discover Financial, I still think that they come up with a credit card that does not charge, the restaurant doesn't put a 3%.
But I passed 2 Tradify and then 1 Apex this morning with a YOLO.
Order submitted.
Well, it's the leftover eval. I had to use it. I'm maxed out 20, so hopefully I get 21 now. I'm not spending any more money though. Just those are the cheap ones from Rips discount.
Order canceled.
There was a 3.5% sell-off in the momentum. That was
Come on, keep dumping.
First time since sort of 2016 you had that kind of a reversal.
Order submitted.
What has been working, which is just buy because they keep going higher.
Well, what people wanted, frankly, they're buying the transport. They're buying JB.
Say again?
They're buying the most pedestrian of things, which I've got to tell you is really rather amazing. Again, it's an indicator of people are very, very bullish. They think that there's going to be a return.
Yeah, I still need it. I need it bad. I just Sam in trades a bot, so we'll get there.
I just think that we are so the opposite of where we were. Liberation Day may turn out to be the bottom. We may look at Liberation Day and say, that was when they realized, wow, are we ever on the wrong track? The market has spoken in the wrong.
Order submitted.
Now, I think the press would be reluctant to say that. Maybe he'd say Liberation Day was one of the great buying opportunities of all time.
He literally does make public stock calls, so there is that.
I know. Remember, David, when we were saying, look, it looks tough, and he said, buy everything? One of the greatest calls I've ever seen.
It's a great call.
I don't know when I've seen a call.
He's got a future job at Morgan Stanley or something as a financial advisor.
You think so? Yeah, I was thinking more Robin Hood.
Maybe Robin Hood. He also, by the way, in crypto, he knows crypto markets very well.
Gemini. Thinkable. Why not?
Yep. We got some audience metrics out of Hood today.
Order filled.
Subs, Jim. Stock's not really
Order submitted. Order canceled.
They're doing. They have a really great IRA. They have a great IRA deal. If you switch over,
The market is open.
You got Blockchain is sitting there thinking, how can I take away everybody under 30 from every one of the firms? And all the rest of the firms are saying, well, he won't get us. He won't take those away. They are watching the future evaporate.
Order submitted.
Good movement right now. You guys trading?
We definitely talked about the fact that Chewy is getting hit today, down 11%. earnings report that is not being well received.
Yeah.
At 19,
That's what I'm doing. Just scalping them.
it has had a big run. That is true.
I mean, I find Amazon cheaper now. What can I say? Get the stuff from Amazon.
So what are you going to ask him tonight?
Well, I just think, look, he's done a remarkable job.
Oh, sorry, I'm not on Mad Money. What are you going to ask him, Carl, on the 11th?
You talked about some, adoption trends. For every comment about the consumer, though, there's a Chewy chart and then there's a Dave and Buster's chart, which is up to
coming around. I would ask him, frankly, about NVIDIA and how I fed NVIDIA using Chewy.
And now we're talking about the dog. That can get very confusing for people.
2017. Look when NVIDIA was alive and kicking in 2017. That dog had 4 cents.
Now,
David Buster's actually had a nice little run here. It's become a little bit more effective. David Buster's
Short and long, you can make money.
People forgot about him. They left him for dead, and that's just wrong.
Yep.
Urban gets upgraded over there.
No, I need 70 and then 66. I'm not worried. I think it's gonna drop, so I'm just gonna let it go.
The PE at a decade low.
Louis Fiore. I think Louis really.
3 minutes still looks like it's gonna drop more. So
Competition.
how long did we hit? Like 855 or 860? How long again?
I think Target has to really start making a statement that we're going to lower the prices. Now, they're going to say they have low prices. They have to lower them to 2018. In the aisle, in every aisle, there has to be 2 or 3 items that are 2018. That's what they have to do.
That's a rough chart. At Jill today, Jim, with a double miss. That's another tough chart.
They're irrelevant.
Well, is it Target irrelevant or no?
They have to get themselves relevant by having a couple of items each aisle that are low. They have to come under Walmart. It can happen.
I have money on Target. I mean, it's there hasn't been an activist there. Is there a play other than getting rid of the CEO?
The play is to lower the prices. That's how they have to do it.
Lower the prices.
They have to. Now, I had an outfit on last night that has lowered the prices and it's just.
Dude, Rosales banked on the TTT giveaway. He just made a lot. That's a good start for him.
The numbers are extraordinary. This stock has had an incredible run, up 25% for the year. Casey General is where people want to be. They only cater to rural territories.
Right.
Right?
Casey's General.
Yeah, breakfast pizza. What? Because Sam Altman doesn't go there? You're not interested in it?
No, I'm not. I only listen to all things Sam Altman says. Sam Altman really connected with City.
How about Microsoft City Positive Catalyst Watch, right? Is that where you're going, David?
Catalyst Watch. They
basically say Azure numbers are too low because of the.
Remember, Amy Hood just told a great story. CFO best story.
I was going to Sam. This I can't get away from this blog post. The 2030s may not be wildly different than now. People will still love their families, express their creativity, play games, and swim in lakes. Swim in lakes. Me and you, Sam. I don't know. You must swim in lakes, which I do.
Just must have an excessive.
That was weird. Swimming in lakes is one of the things that I agree with you. All right,
Oh, there we go. Oh, my foot's red. I'm down 8% only, so $40. Not too bad, yeah.
Order submitted.
And I also got puts on my Robinhood. That's like a weekly put, so that's down 50%.
Order canceled.
Yeah, I was trying to get. There we go, baby. Drop that shit. I just got out. I'm flat now. Just short every pump. That's what we're gonna do. Get this fucking payout, baby.
Order submitted.
Yesterday, wanted to get back to this deal with Scale AI. I mean, it's what would be otherwise
Man, that's a
enormous
drop.
acquisition in and of itself. It's not obviously for the full company. 49%, 14.3 billion. But perhaps even more importantly, they take over a lot of the team, including, of course, the founder of Scale AI, Alexander Wang, somebody I sat down with a couple of years ago when he was even younger than he is now. You know, at Milken, we were talking there. Now, this is a data labeling company.
Nice. Good short. I wish I didn't get out, but I hit my 10 points. Dude, look at that shit.
Chatbots learn how to think.
Yeah, bot did good. Finally, made some money. That's 40 points on bot.
It's interesting because you could say, well, if that is the overall company scale AI, it's $28+ billion. Wayne, for his part's getting, I think, as much as $3 billion from this. But
Good
then
shit.
obviously
So we hit 8:55. I might go
stuff
long.
that's left, but he's not going to be running it.
But now I'm flat.
So what that's actually worth is far from clear at this point. They were on a $2 billion
bad.
revenue run rate for
Trying to
this
get
year,
this
perhaps as much as
300K PA to pay out soon. I need like 2 more thousand, I think. 3 more thousand.
$150 million, but 7 investors were stepping up to tender for shares of employees. That's been canceled.
Yeah.
And
Hope
then,
it goes
of course,
back
there's
up so I can
another
be
side.
short.
It's a big acquisition, but it's not an acquisition, and it doesn't subject them to the regulatory scrutiny of an actual full-out acquisition, Jim. And yet they get this guy, they get the team, and they own this company as a result. When it appears really what they wanted was him and what he's got.
Everybody needs to step up their game. I think that he's well, no, he's long.
Let's go, fish. And fish need to get in here.
Reportedly offering some buyouts to search and advertising staff, or the Journal piece about X threatening advertisers with a lawsuit if they don't buy ads on X.
Well, there you go. That's new. New, David.
Yes, I think support might be 900, but I'm not sure. 855 is where I want to long.
Yes. That's not the first time they've done it.
My pen is from NVIDIA. It cost me about $20. I thought it was free. I was going to walk out with it, but it was too much like Biff. Right? It was too much like that for sale.
Not a dime a dozen. Not a dime a dozen. You are Biff Loman.
Man, you have, yeah.
Arthur Miller is so great. So great.
As we go to break, watch bonds
must be paid.
To such a person, yes. Watch Treasury's 10-year note auction at 1, and then Best at House Ways and Means in just a few minutes.
Not sure if I gave out the straight to funded yet. Maybe that's Cat Daddy.
The Bond Report is brought to you by PIMCO, a global leader in active fixed income.
Do you want to know where to invest $1,000 right now? Well, forget about AI, quantum computing, electric vehicles, cryptocurrencies, or robotics. A little-known technology is projected to become roughly 10 times bigger than all of these technologies combined. The World Economic Forum says that it's arguably the most exciting human discovery since fire. And billionaire entrepreneur Vinod Khosla says you can make 1,000 times your money by investing in this phenomenon. But if you want to claim a stake in this revolution, you have to act fast. We're about to cross what Barron's calls an impending tipping point. So do you want to know how to get started with this technology? Go to the website on the screen, and I'll show you how. Hi, my name is Whitney Tilson. I'm a former hedge fund manager. I've been featured in virtually every single major financial publication and TV show. How did I accomplish all this? I'll tell you this. I don't come from money. In fact, my parents were teachers who met in Peace Corps. The secret to my success is that I have a knack for
trying to
finding
hopefully get back to the 80.
in
Let me check the 3 minutes.
I bought
Oscar
Amazon
later.
in 1999. I bought Apple in 2000. And I bought Netflix in 2012. Investments like that helped me grow my hedge fund from
Oscar is near the bottom now, so I don't.
my clients' money. The technology that just landed on my radar might be the most disruptive and lucrative one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
One market insider predicted that it could
I
be
might-
even more important.
Order canceled. Order
I could hit a little short at 72 if it hits.
Free of charge, the name and ticker symbol of the company at the
I was about to dip. I don't know why I'm shorting all the time.
your email address, your credit card, or anything like that.
Order
Just go
Yeah.
to Phil's.
There's my short, and then it goes up. I'm so itchy. It's 300K, so I got a lot of room.
Trust the unfiltered internet. Angie has 30 years of experience finding the best pros.
Oh, you need a payout on your top one, because I don't know. Top one's getting scary. They did 9 payouts now, or delaying it. From Kellyanne wrote on Twitter saying they had a delay on one guy. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. But then you don't want to take too long before they run out of money. I mean, they don't pay you. We're gonna trash them. They better pay you. Oh damn, that fucking pump.
Order filled. Order
Oh,
submitted.
this short just hit.
Come back from London before talks ended. For now, muted open. S&P's up 4 points. Stay with us.
Gagano creates luxury kitchen appliances for those who appreciate the extra honor.
Hey, TPT's giving out 4 pro accounts. Hold on, let me paste the TBI. That's actually pretty cool. Wish I posted this on giveaway. Okay.
Order filled.
Order filled. Live message. For those who know the difference is Gagano.
Yeah, I'm stuck in it. Not looking good.
Has UTI relief products and science-backed supplements that offer a proactive approach to urinary health. I finally feel free. Try today at euphora.com. Life is always changing, and our love
What's up, man?
Adapts to it all. Gathering around for game day one moment, reconfiguring for entertaining the next. And tomorrow, a new look entirely. Because Lovesack adapts to life. Our life.
When I started Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I needed a website. Figuring out how to make one was
Order
pretty hard.
submitted.
The old noggin. So with GoDaddy Arrow, I can just tell it where I want. And I used AI to make the website so fast it pretty much blows my noggin. This is working. With a beautiful design that'll blow my customers' noggins, which allowed me to focus my noggin on making more goggins to put on their noggins. Look like you know what you're doing at GoDaddy.com. For me, Squawk Box is breakfast with the
think
most
it'll still go
interesting
down.
people in the world.
Don't worry.
A privilege to get to talk to them every day. It's order canceled.
There we go. Get his money. It's the movement is really good.
Ranks car brands on more than 50 road tests. Reliability survey. Owner satisfaction survey.
Yeah,
And
that's
safety
true.
ratings from IIHS. And for 2025, Consumer Reports' most reliable automotive brand is Subaru. It's no surprise they also named Subaru the best overall automotive brand. Safe, reliable,
Get this money, baby.
loved. Subaru.
You want to host a local brunch? Ooh, bingo, baby.
There we go. Oh damn, I didn't get out.
Order submitted.
Bachelorette brunch. From silverware to silver hair, get everything for every party on Amazon.
Next time for Jim and Stop Brady.
Two very well written pieces by Stiefel today. One is a buy for Uber, and the other is a
Order
hold
filled.
for Phil. If you didn't
Order
tell me that
submitted.
DoorDash was a hold, where you put your finger over each of
You've
them,
been doing this a lot lately.
yes, you would say this. You got to buy. And both these are very, very compelling. Uber, stop worrying, stop fretting about the self-driving.
Order
They need to
canceled.
fit.
Not
And
yet.
I think both these companies.
Not
I
yet.
like
I said they were gonna drop a little bit more.
Further consolidated. But these are two of the companies, along with Reddit, okay, along with Airbnb, that came from a particular era of IPO of winners, and these are all ones I buy.
How about tonight?
I'm up 150 on my funded, so I might not touch that anymore.
These, it's not a middleman. Everyone
So I
thinks
built that buffer again.
Jason Howard is carving out a real place to to make healthcare, let's say, better,
trying to get
streamlined,
this
cheaper.
TPT
I
Pro
just think
giveaway.
This guy's terrific, and I'm happy to have him on the show. He's not a villain. Hey, by the way, there was a
Oh no, I can't win that. I feel bad about actually win that, so no.
He's in the bunker right now. The bunker's a bad place.
I'm still short on one account at 973 and I have a short at 995. So just waiting for the hit.
Take a little time, a little island there. Yeah, it's like your own version of a loan.
Yeah, well, my kids are taking me for Father's Day. They do it every year. Last year we went to a dude ranch, and the year before we went to Iceland, and this year we're going to a place in Vancouver. Not to be mentioned.
Have a great time.
That's that shit.
Yes, really.
Are you short?
Yes.
No.
Greatest.
Jim, we'll see you hopefully soon. Money tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. As the grind higher continues, Dow's up 78. Don't go anywhere.
I'm just following the bot again. Trust the bot. So my trade station, 3 minutes looks good, but 15 minutes might still go down.
Never even. Is this your dream of retirement? How about this week, Dave? I like fishing. Or is this?
But then again, CPI, anything can happen.
Isn't a guarantee. It's a goal. It's easy when markets are going up. But what about when they're not? That's why you need this.
Call for Fisher's Retirement Survival Kit, featuring your guide to surviving market volatility, our stock market
Yeah,
outlook, plus
same.
the Fisher Investments Difference. 3 indispensable guides, yours free for calling 1-800-213-5317.
Fisher Investments' disciplined approach will help see you through the market's ups and downs and give you the confidence you need to reach a comfortable retirement. And our fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Call now for your free retirement survival kit.
Well, Gandalf is bearish, so he had like puts and shorts overnight. I think he shorted ES at 60.30 yesterday, and he said he's gonna swing it.
AG1, one of our values, is the continuous pursuit of excellence. For over 15 years, we have upgraded AG1, adding ingredients that the research said would support nutrient gaps and gut health. It's time for the next generation of AG1. AG1 Next Gen has launched with upgraded B vitamins and probiotic blends backed by multiple gold standard clinical trials. Our customers deserve the best, and the best just got much better. Your record label is taking off, but so is your sound engineer. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates, so you can connect with them fast. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Every dog is unique. That's why at the Farmer's Dog, you put your dog at the center of everything you do. With food that's freshly made,
Yeah, could have got out by then. Oh well.
every portion. You take care of your dog.
Track your portfolio from every angle on one optimized platform. Never miss a moment.
I think a lot of people blew up on that dump at open.
And stock picks. All new investing tools securely linked to your brokerage accounts. Plus, CNBC Global Market News and analysis tailored to your holdings. Become a smarter investor with the power of CNBC Pro. Go to cnbc.com/getpro now.
Order filled.
Wednesday morning, welcome to Spot on the Street. I'm Sarah Hyman with Carl Quintanilla, David Faber,
Orders
live
submitted.
as always from post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. Stocks are having another up day. It was a small rally given some of the big catalysts today, like word of a U.S.-China trade deal, more benign inflation reporting. The Nasdaq's up 0.2%. Healthcare, actually the leading sector in the S&P right now. Some of those names coming back. Information technology, consumer discretionary, all doing well. It's materials, staples, and industrials that are negative in the S&P. As for treasuries, reaction to the CPI report coming in softer than expected, leading to a further rally in treasuries with yields lower, especially that policy-sensitive 2-year yield below 4%. Odds go up of a second rate cut this year. Today, Goldman Sachs chief U.S. economist will join us with his first take on
Order
morning's
filled.
CPI print and how it
baby.
could factor into the Fed's rate path. Plus, Voyager Technology, sometimes called the Berkshire Hathaway of space, getting ready to make
Order
its public debut
submitted.
right here at the New Stock Exchange. We're going to talk to the CEO ahead of the first trade.
Got some breaking news out of Washington this morning. The Treasury Secretary gets set to testify.
Later, buddy.
After just returning from those trade talks in London. Let's get to our Eamon Jabbers in Washington with the latest. Morning, Eamon.
Yeah, good morning
I thought the trade talk is done.
Besson's maybe a little bit jet lagged here this morning in Washington after flying from London.
No, I'm talking about Trump and China.
On social media this morning from the president, and there you see a live look in at the Treasury Secretary arriving in the House committee room there. We will hear from him, presumably his assessment of what happened in that session yesterday with the Chinese delegation. The talk's not over. We saw a post from the president on social media earlier this morning in which the president suggested that a deal of some kind has been crafted that has to go to the two leaders now, Xi Jinping and himself, in order to be ironed out. And you can bet that the members of this committee are going to press Treasury Secretary Besson for his assessment of what that deal is. The president suggested that there were some
Good job, Gabe, on your payout.
some magnets agreements, rare earths.
Yeah, daily payout for the last 4 days. That shit's good.
Students to stay at American universities, something the president said
You don't
he's never
fuck
been
up.
opposed to all along. We'll see if Besson.
Oh, you ought to payout, don't touch. Yeah, you milking it, dude. Don't mess with it. Yeah.
Order canceled.
No, dude, I'm telling you, get the 150. You can milk more, dude. You're doing really good. Stop spending money on like Apex and shit.
A lot of details here on tax planning that might be in the works as well. So we'll watch all that.
You wasted so much on Apex and you do away your PA.
Some of his comments, according to the wires this morning, Eamon, talk about
Yeah. But $100 can go towards TPT.
Geneva Agreement, he says. A big, beautiful rebalancing of U.S. and Chinese economies is possible. We had the president on Truth Social talk about a reopening of trade. Is that a bit of whiplash for corporates that have been working anxiously to exit the China environment?
Yeah, I think it's a very confusing environment right now for corporate leaders who are dealing with supply chains that touch China. That's just about everybody who deals in materials of any kind, right?
I wanted a bigger dip to go long, man. Just trying to short.
That this is a moving target, and it's not entirely clear where this is going to land.
Yeah, I think 3 minutes still got some room to drop a little bit more. It's not any time for long yet.
Some resolution and some predictable rules for the road for trade.
Yeah, I'm still in a short
We don't
night.
know what's in this deal. We don't know if there's going to be a deal signed between the two leaders. There's a lot we don't know here, and that's why I think a lot of people are going to be really watching Besson over the next couple of minutes to see if he can give us any more clarity.
Yeah, I mean, chips. Obviously, the Chinese certainly want access to certain levels of semiconductor chips.
Order filled.
NVIDIA had an entire class that they made for the Chinese market called the
Order
A20, which
submitted.
they are no longer able to sell there. So that will
Order
be
canceled.
interesting to see if the Treasury Secretary has anything to share on that front, Eamon, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at each category, a lot of trade deals will be enormously detailed, hundreds of pages, line item after line item, individual goods that can be traded at what tariff, et cetera.
Order submitted.
This feels more like what we're going to get is a broad brush agreement between the two sides.
Gandalf? I don't know.
And I think markets will welcome that. We get the details of it, just in the sense that any agreement at all between the two sides gives you a sense that this relationship is on a more stable footing going forward and is not descending into some
I
sort
thought
of
it pumped this morning because of that stupid deal. Yeah.
not nearly enough time to
I don't know. I'm still on my September put, so hopefully.
Thank you. Eamon Jabbers monitoring the Treasury Secretary on Capitol Hill. One thing that Treasury Secretary Besson is going to have some good answers for, especially from Democrats, is on inflation. Because we got the newest read on May inflation, and guess what? No inflation spike. Everything came in below consensus. I mean, this is one that the White House has to be really happy with. Overall, the monthly gain of 0.1%, less than expected, no real inflation. Overall, core inflation, 0.1%, less than expected.
Order submitted.
Here's where some of the if you pull it out, where the sort of pressures come from: fuel oil, electricity, medical care, commodities, food away from home. So restaurants, it's still adding inflation, but still that was a
I think
smaller
the max
increase
you
than
can
we've
have
seen in
on
prior
TickTick
months.
is three funded.
Order filled. Order submitted.
Negative
Yeah.
numbers on inflation on the monthly read. Apparel, David. Everyone was
Order
worried that the
order
retailers
canceled.
prices
I'm
because
just
the
restoring,
tariffs
taking every money.
either not yet or not happening because demand is soft. And that's going to be a debate. I pulled out some of the favorite food items that saw the most, at least, inflation on the month. So we're finally getting some egg deflation, thank God, down 2.7% on the month. Frozen non-carbonated drinks, they saw a big spike over recent years because of crops like orange juice. That had a big decrease. Ice cream, me and you, I don't know, there's demand there.
Yeah, there's always going to be demand there.
That's on increase. But the bottom line is it's going to get harder and harder for Fed Chair Powell and the folks at the Fed to explain why they're on
Order
hold
canceled.
waiting for inflation, because it's just not happening.
Well, and
Order
to that
submitted.
point, the president out with a
Are you unfunded? Am I
a
funded?
post saying CPI just out, great numbers, Fed should lower one
Not
full
yet.
point. We've been much
Order
less than
filled.
that kind of
Okay,
work.
I'm all flat now. That was fun.
Maybe they're taking it on margin.
Move
Maybe
up
it's
my
coming
short to
later, but they're data
93.
dependent. What the data is showing right now is that there is not an inflationary spike.
Yeah.
The effective tariff
It's still in
rate
a
that
chop
we're
zone, so I'm not
currently
really sure where the
maybe
market's going to head to. Like,
These tariffs are not even effective yet.
still short bias for now.
for China, certainly.
If you can't get over
And they haven't been
22,000, I'm
10%
keep
on the
shorting.
rest of the world. We've heard all the companies complain about it and have to adjust some of the hit that they're taking on it. But there's another question here that we haven't really talked about, which is maybe demand is not as strong as we thought. And so, that's putting downward
Yeah.
pressure on prices. I'll just give you one more really important one that the Fed is likely
Well,
going to talk about.
the squeezes on the longer time frame is upside.
We're watching really carefully. Services
It's like,
X housing. Because
Order
they can't really
filled.
the housing inventories and everything like that.
before CPI, all the squeezes was filled up, and right after CPI, it just moved like crazy.
That was very small.
Order submitted.
These numbers were increasing like 3, 4,
So I'm not really
5,
bearish. I'm
and that was
just
worrisome
scalping
because
it.
it was an economy that was overheated. We are just not seeing that right now. And I think it's more fodder for the president and for those who are saying the Fed should cut rates. It's why the 2-year yield is moving lower.
Yeah.
Order filled.
I'm here to talk more about
Oh,
the
yeah.
print this morning at Post 9. Sorry, Sarah's read is Goldman Sachs chief U.S. economist
Order
David
submitted.
Miracle joining us here. Good to see you, David.
I got-
Thanks. Oh, let's start
Got too many accounts.
The estimate is
I
it
keep
Sarah,
track of
right
these
about
accounts.
us misreading the impact of tariffs?
I think it's possible that the tariff effect is a little bit smaller. In particular, this month we were only looking
maybe.
for a 5 basis point effect because we
Order
had seen
filled.
the price data on cars looked fairly soft, even though autos are something that's been hit with a large tariff. I think the other thing that we're learning is that there are meaningful offsets
Don't like
to
this
any potential
zone.
tariff effect that we got this month and might get in coming months. In
Order
particular,
filled.
you saw that in the shelter category, where for quite a while we've had this catch-up inflation, keeping inflation a little bit elevated month to month. As CPI prices catch up to kind of market prices,
Order
that
submitted.
should gradually go away. Now, these data can be a little bit erratic from month to month, but gradually we've seen that theme play out. So there are other forces that have brought inflation down for the last few years. I think they have a little bit more disinflationary momentum yet to give, and that will provide a partial offset to the tariff effects. But
Is data quality a question, given what BLS has told some outside economists about their sampling abilities?
I think if you had a ideal unlimited data set
Yeah.
on rents, you'd probably see numbers.
It's always about a dip.
In the months ahead, if they're not able to hire more people to go out and collect prices because of the hiring freeze, then I think that could eventually become a problem. It would limit the sample size that they can ultimately see.
Oh
So
shit,
how
mother
does
short
Powell
hit.
explain his wait-and-see approach now that we have seen meaningful deterioration in inflation? For a while, it was that
I'm
okay, there was
short.
no
I'm short at
progress, but we were
206.
just gonna wait and see. But now we're seeing progress.
Yeah.
So how does he explain that?
There you go.
I
Come
think
on.
this is a reasonable month. to
Yeah, well,
expect to see some tariff
on the
effects.
FV, I'm
Some
just aiming for
tariffs have
5
been in place
points,
for a bit of
6
time.
points, so I don't get
In
dinged with
2019,
the
one of
scalping shit.
Key takeaways from looking at
Need
category
what?
level data
200 more for a
was
payout, so I'm
that
trying
the
to take it
flows are
slow.
happening pretty quickly. So it's not unreasonable to say this was a soft print. This is good news.
Order
This means
submitted.
a little bit toward a smaller effect. But I suspect Chair Powell will be comfortable saying it is still very early. Some of the tariffs that the White House...
He's going to look political if he does that. Like, they don't want to look political, right? But if you're going to say it's really early, we haven't seen the tariff effects yet, but we're also data dependent, but we're also restricted, then they should be cutting, no?
Well, I guess I would say there doesn't seem to be a strong
Order
lead in either
submitted.
direction at the moment. I mean, the labor market report...
What? Bishop, bro.
Probably for both supply and demand reasons. Unemployment rate is still at 4.2%. Neither the labor market data nor the inflation data are yet screaming that we need an adjustment. So I suspect they'll say it's early to make a decision on the tariffs, especially because some of the tariffs the White House has talked about have not even been announced yet.
Give it to me. There we go, baby. There we go, baby. This is fun.
Googlers say you got to watch inflation first. You had Goolsby say this might be the last vestige.
That 90% off was on a static yesterday.
That tone changes once we get past the blackout window.
Possibly. I think, again, this is a reasonable timing to expect to see tariff effects. It's just that 1 month probably isn't a good basis for drawing a firm conclusion on this. So I think if over the next 2 months we still haven't seen anything, then the lesson of 2019 would say, well, these things tend to show up pretty quickly. So if 3 months go by and you haven't seen much, then I think you'd probably meaningfully change your thoughts.
And your general view has been there might be a one-time effect, but it would soften quickly because of demand destruction. Yes,
that's right. That any tariff large enough to push inflation up quite a bit, make us anxious about inflation implications, probably also large enough to soften demand. And I don't see particularly high prospects for a prolonged bout of high inflation in a weaker economy. This is also a much less intense inflation rebound that we think is coming than what we went through in 2022.
Okay, let me see. 3 minutes. Looks like upside. I got one short, and I'm not gonna short anymore.
That's where you would see it.
Maybe I might try a little bit more.
It's where all the product is sourced abroad.
Order submitted.
So how do you explain what's happening there? And could it be a symptom of weaker consumer demand, where there's just more pressure on prices than pressure to raise prices?
Yeah. I would say our take from looking at the very detailed subcategories
was canceled.
Right. Apparel was softer, although there import prices had been down for quite a
Oh,
while.
you short?
In other categories like appliances, it did look like they were somewhat above trend. That's
You want to go long? Gotcha.
A lot of what we consume in the United States is
Yeah, long looks pretty good right now.
Mixed evidence. I wouldn't say
Well, not right now, but it would go under.
Maybe on the small side of what we're expecting in coming months.
You mentioned the labor market. Where do you
Still got one more short left. I gotta get out at 93.
In the back half of the year, bottoming around 80K, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think we will see a continued slowing both for supply and demand reasons. We just had an enormous number of people.
I didn't know I shorted Lucid.
A year and a half ago. More workers,
92.
more potential job growth. Immigration is down
92.
enormously over the last year and a half. So that's kind of the labor supply angle on all of it. And I suspect we will also see some softness.
Not today, not this week. It's hard to trade cash now and have so many accounts, so I don't want to mess with the cash much.
Anything catastrophic there, but I think that too will slow the rate.
But the kids are here and I have to babysit sometimes.
Do you change your outlook for the Fed at all? 2 cuts now.
And sometimes they go in my office and press the buy button last time. It cost me like $800.
June to August.
Oh, I gave him the big old spanking. Yeah, it cost $800. Real money, real cash. It was on my cash account. I beat that little kid.
A little bit more kind of post-tariff calming down.
Yeah, and his mom yelled at him too.
David, thank you for joining us.
They don't know. They just slamming the keyboard and hit the buy button.
Into the trading session, 3 big movers we're watching today. Nvidia shares hovering near some record highs. After a speech from Jensen Huang overnight at a tech conference in Paris, he said quantum computing is at an inflection point, announced a new partnership with a slew of telecom companies to build AI infrastructure there. Lockheed Martin under some pressure after the Pentagon slashed its request for F-35 planes in half, asking for 24 planes in its procurement request to Congress, down from 48. And shares of Talon Energy higher after the company announced this morning it signed an expanded nuclear energy agreement with Amazon. Talon will supply electricity from one of its Pennsylvania plants to AWS data centers.
Here's our roadmap now for you for the rest of the hour. Walking back some of his criticisms of President Trump as Tesla stock
makes a recovery from last week's drop. Details ahead.
Plus, Meta scales up its AI
Order
ambitions.
submitted.
It's investing $14.3 to get a 49% stake in Alexander
Order
Wang's
submitted.
Scale AI. We're going to talk about
Order canceled.
position
I
Meta.
don't know,
and of course,
still
that
shorting. Trying to hold 22,000. I don't think it will.
CEO Dylan Taylor is going to join us live after the break as Walk on the Street continues.
You can fit a lot of vacation into a weekend. Book your next weekend getaway with Bearbow.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Cunol Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor-recommended form of turmeric. It helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Why should you trade options rather than stocks? Because they offer higher returns, are cost-effective, and can actually reduce risk. Learn how in our new book.
I got the book and I read it in a weekend.
There we go.
And it's just
Drop it, baby.
On measurable and being successful.
I have a couple of stocks, but I don't have many of them anymore. It's all options for me. I highly recommend everyone gets John and Pete's book because there's nothing else out there like it.
Get a free copy today at itsnotanoption.com. Itsnotanoption.com.
CNBC's audience is the most ambitious audience there is. I've raced cars for about 30 years. Car racing is so hyper competitive, kind of like the financial markets. Competition is a huge part of ambition.
Order
Artificial
submitted.
intelligence, electric
So
vehicles,
puts it
everything
down a
we're
lot
doing in our lives is going to require a huge growth in energy. And as the chief energy reporter, it is the most exciting time I can remember.
Uber Eats has savings all summer long. Get deals on hundreds of your local favorites. Yep, summer just got tastier. Enjoy deals on your favorite food all summer long. Only on Uber Eats. Order now.
There's a reason Chevy's called the heartbeat of America. Because we proudly roll trucks off the line in cities like Arlington. For the people who keep Texas moving. For them, only America's most dependable trucks will do. In every Chevy truck, dependability comes standard.
Now, get $42.50 total customer
Order
cash on
Order
this
filled.
Chevy Silverado.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Drives
Holy
Texas.
cow.
Together, let's drive.
Reliant is the home of free electricity and sizzling
Order
flavors.
submitted.
The Flex Your Credits electricity plan
Nice short
serves up
hit.
your 2 highest use days free every week, plus $200 in bill credits.
There we go.
Order
Order
filled.
filled.
Your way.
Order submitted.
Some breaking news on Disney and NBC Universal. Let's get to Julia Borston. Hey, Julia.
Hey, Carl.
Order
Disney and
submitted.
NBC Universal, which is CNBC's
Took
parent
profit
company,
yet,
are filing
Fish?
a joint suit against AI company Midjourney, alleging copyright infringement and demanding a jury
Nice.
trial. The complaint, which was filed just now, includes images that Midjourney generated with characters including Lucasfilm's Darth Vader and from Universal Illumination's Minions. Disney and NBCU saying they asked Midjourney to stop infringing on their copyrighted works and that Midjourney ignored
Order
their
submitted.
requests. Now, this is the most high-profile legal action we've seen an entertainment company take to
What the fuck?
protect its IP. Disney
Oh my
thanked
god.
our world-class IP is built on decades of financial investment, creativity, and innovation. Investments only made possible by the incentives embodied in copyright law that give creators the exclusive right to profit from
You
their
have two
works.
nice
And
lid.
we are bullish on the promise of AI technology and optimistic
There, you gotta
about
see
how it
this.
can be used
It's
responsibly as a tool to further human creativity, but piracy is piracy, and the fact that it's done by an AI company does not make it any less infringing. So we're going to have to see how Midjourney responds. We're reaching out to them now, but this suit could set a key precedent for AI companies and entertainment companies going forward. Back over to you, Carl.
Julie, appreciate that. Adds one more wrinkle to the AI debate. That's our Julia Borston. Meantime, Voyager Technologies, a defense and aerospace contractor, making its public debut here at the New York Stock Exchange. Company provides space-to-earth and space-to-space services for civil, commercial.
So we're gonna do $400 for Father's Day giveaway because one of our members gave us $200 extra. So that's gonna be sick.
This is a big moment, not just for Voyager, but also for space and defense tech overall. Upsized offering, oversubscribed, priced higher than the expected range here. You and I have talked about this goal for years now of going public in a traditional IPO, which is not something we typically see with space companies. Why now?
The timing is good. That was feedback from the investors, and I think our order book reflected that in the process. But also, I think thematically, some things have come together. Obviously, space infrastructure is a priority as we look to replace the International Space Station, for example. And then on the national security and defense side of things, whether it's Golden Dome or other security protocols that we're putting in place as a nation, we play right at the center of that. And so I think right company at the right time in the right place.
How big is it?
Something hit again.
No, exactly.
Orders submitted.
President's budget request is circa 125 billion, I think. We will play in that in a couple of different ways. We have proprietary propulsion technology that factors into the Department of Defense. We also have some optical navigation technology that plays. Also some radiation hardened computers that we put on certain smart systems as well. So there's a few different ways that we can integrate into those systems. But we don't know exactly how the opportunity is quite yet.
Your revenue last year was split between
Uh-oh.
defense and space. Your roots are in commercial space. Folks perhaps know you best for Starlab, which is the commercial space station that you're developing in part for NASA when ISS is decommissioned.
Drop it, baby.
Lay out the business case for commercial space stations, because just the fact that you're not a publicly traded company and this is a
Order
key
submitted.
future business for you, I don't think people fully understand the business opportunities here.
It's
Oh no, slow grind up.
The ISS spent today, it's around $5 billion, maybe a little bit more. That includes NASA, but also other partners like the European Space Agency, Japanese Space Agency, and others. So if you just take that cost base and invert it, that becomes the commercial revenue opportunity. And that's just for the base case. So if you look at all the other opportunities you can do in microgravity, biopharma research, for example, space manufacturing, data centers in space, all of that. And you and I talked about SpaceX. I remember a conversation where we talked about launch demand. We said, well, SpaceX is going to launch all the payloads to space in 2 months of the year, and the other 10 months of the year they're going to be time on their hands. And of course, that's not what happened because it didn't address demand, it created demand. Commercial space stations are very similar. When we have a commercial model, there'll be many, many more opportunities to monetize microgravity. And so that's really what we're playing in that part of the field.
Speaking of SpaceX, obviously saw this very public feud between Elon Musk and President Trump last week, and it highlighted just how far along SpaceX is versus other parts of the space industry, whether it's Starlink with the internet connection or the Falcon rockets and their capability to bring astronauts to space, the fact that they have a contract to help deorbit the International Space Station. How do you see the space economy and the competitive landscape evolving?
Order submitted.
Well, I'm very bullish. I mean, SpaceX is a key player. They have key capabilities. But we have Blue Origin, we have Rocket Lab, we have Firefly, we have other new entrants. And then also in Europe, they're trying to build a launch capability. Japanese and India have launch capability. So I'm actually very bullish about the future of launch. And then, of course, what that enables is all these great hardware and infrastructure projects. And that's really where we play. So we're not playing in launch. We're playing in the infrastructure layer being built in space.
NASA is your single biggest customer. NASA is being shook up right now. The administrator nomination was pulled. How are you navigating those dynamics at that agency?
Focused on delivering on our commitments. So we've achieved 23 technical milestones on Starlab, our space station program. We're going to continue to execute on that. NASA will figure out, who the new administrator is, but I think it'll be, for the most part, steady as it goes. And if you even look at the president's so-called skinny budget, it was very bullish for commercial LEO destinations, which is the commercial space station effort. So we're feeling very good about that opportunity there. And leadership matters. The NASA administrator will matter. But right now, we're just focusing on our customers.
We saw it yesterday with Andrew topping the CNBC disruptor list. We see
I
it
went
with
short
going
at
public with
26 and
Voyager
24,
today.
so
does
hopefully
seem
it drops.
that commercial space, and also with publicly traded stocks already, commercial space and defense tech have moved into the mainstream. How much is policy pushing this forward?
I think policy matters, and certainly sentiment matters. And I think what recognition is happening is that the technology has matured. So the way we like to talk about Voyager is a technology and innovation platform disrupting A&D. And I think leaning into that technology and innovation piece is critical. So I think people now understand that the technology has matured to a level where you can actually have mission critical solutions that work the first time, every time. And because the
I
tech is
think Black
matured,
just
I
went
think the
long.
companies
Yeah.
are now ready for
Don't follow.
Dylan Taylor, thank you so much. Voyager Technologies. Sarah?
Very exciting, Morgan, to think about the business opportunities for space, but also more evidence the IPO market is opening. That's Morgan Brennan with the head of Voyager Technologies. Still to come, Elon Musk backtracks in his feud with President Trump, and Tesla stock recovers. What investors need to know and what the street is saying about all of it next. Plus, Treasury Secretary Scott
See how
Bessent
much
is
more
testifying
upside do we
before the
have
House
on
Ways
3
and
minutes?
Means
Took us
Committee
some more
this morning.
upside.
We're going to bring you the headlines as we get them. Spot on the street. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Hold on to this short for a little bit. Got a little greedy.
Avocado green mattress. We know that we all deserve a little rest. That's why we're promoting
Sure,
Better
this
Sleep
one.
this season.
Order
With our
filled.
certified
Order
organic
submitted.
mattresses and
I haven't
bedding.
touched these yet.
Natural, luxurious materials
Oof.
for a healthier planet and a healthier you. Start your sleep trial today at avocadogreenmattress.com.
Nice. Good shit, Chris.
This is a premium hand selected.
Is that the
premium
TTT?
Raffaello Mignon that's aged for tenderness and trimmed to perfection. This is a necktie. What do you think Dad wants for
Oh,
Father's
Chris
Day?
is coming in here.
Order canceled.
.com/TV to order the Dad's Want Steak package today for just $99.99.
Nice.
We'll include 8 additional burgers free. So get in this, not this. This. Go to omahasteaks.com/TV today because Dad deserves it. Just a little Father's Day wisdom from Omaha Steaks.
In the age of AI, smarter threats need even smarter protection. CrowdStrike Charlotte AI is delivering the future of cybersecurity for what's now and what's next. Built on the intelligence of every breach we stop and refined by human expertise, Charlotte AI gets smarter so your business stays safer. So you can build for tomorrow with confidence and efficiency and protect what matters most. That's why the businesses you trust CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike. We stop breaches.
For plant-based, healthy blood pressure support, there's one brand that stands above the rest. It's Superbeats by Human, the #1 doctor, pharmacist, and cardiologist recommended feed brand for heart health support. Find out how to get a free month with your first order at livehuman.com.
The grind catches up with everyone, even me. That's why I trust Cunol Ultra High Absorption Turmeric to support my joint health. It's the #1 doctor recommended form of turmeric. It helps you keep doing the things you love at every age. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Sources to share insights, information, and all of the details that you need to make money.
Closing bell overtime for Easter and streaming on CNBC Plus.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. Elon Musk walking back some of the sharpest digs in his public feud with the president, writing in a post on X earlier this morning, "I regret some of my posts about President real Donald Trump last week. They went too far." Musk has removed some of the most inflammatory things he posted, including an agreement with someone who said Trump should be impeached, a post saying the president's name appeared in the Jeffrey Epstein files. The street's happy about the cooling attentions. Dan Ives from Webbush today writes, "We believe this is an important step to the two becoming friends again and allies on a number of topics. Shares now up 4 days in a row. They have recouped their losses since the spat began last week when the stock guys bottomed around 273. So I don't know, $60.
Yeah, I think it remains to be clear whatsoever what the nature of the relationship, if any, will be between the president and Elon Musk. Of course, at the time we remarked on ill-advised many of the comments that Mr. Musk said, taking on the president the way that he did, given so much at stake for his companies in terms of just how connected they are to the federal government, Sarah.
Yeah.
Whether it be SpaceX, of course, NASA, or the need for federal autonomous rules, for example, as they start the rollout of their autonomous efforts.
Yeah, and that explains the stock reaction, right? What investors now can focus on robotaxis and Optimus robots and not on how miserable a Trump administration could make life for Musk, whether it's fuel efficiency standards or self-driving regulations, or, we've already dealt with the tax credits thing, but there's so many, not just government contracts, but government rules. I did note that President Trump said on a podcast
Got out my short. There we
he had
go.
no hard feelings toward Musk, and that he could see the pair repairing
Yeah,
their
I got out.
relationship.
I'm good now.
So
I got
who
one
knows?
more,
Maybe there's more,
couple
but
more shorts
clearly
though.
investors are
The
feeling
trade
much better
five
about the
saved.
situation, and the fact that Trump did not pile on too hard after that first threat of government contracts. So that was a 15% decline last week. $34 billion in the net worth of Mr. Musk coming back.
Yeah, 150 billion market cap. We'll see. We'll see to what degree the president.
Don't get on yet. It looks like it's going to drop a little bit more.
Right.
Just wait.
Yes.
To be determined.
No, it is. Escalation can occur very quickly, of course, as we know as well with both of these gentlemen. All right, let's get a news update now. Savannah now has it for us. Savannah.
Hey, David, good morning to you. A federal appeals court will hear arguments from President Trump's legal team today in a bid to toss out his hush money conviction. The three-judge panel will consider whether to move his case from state to federal court, where the president could then try to have the verdict thrown out on presidential immunity grounds. A jury convicted him last May of falsifying business records of hush money payments to adult actress Stormy Daniels to allegedly cover up an affair. Meanwhile, a government watchdog group in Wisconsin filed a lawsuit today to stop Elon Musk from offering cash payments to voters in the state ever again, calling them a bribe. It comes after he handed out three $1 million checks to voters this spring ahead of its hotly contested Supreme Court race. Its super PAC also handed out $100 to voters who signed a petition to prime activist judges. And South Korea says it will give North Korea a break on blasting propaganda across the border. In an effort to ease tensions, Seoul's military shut down loudspeakers today that have been broadcasting anti-North Korea messages. Carl, I'll send it back to you.
So, thanks. Treasury Secretary Besson testifying before House Ways and Means right now. The new details from that hearing in a moment. Plus, Meta reportedly paying $14 billion for this 49% stake in
Damn, went back up.
We'll talk about what that means for the AI arms race later on this hour.
Tempted to go back in. Yep,
Order
go back in. I'm a crackhead.
Order submitted.
Catching lightning in a bottle. In uncertain times, it's tempting to retreat or simply wait and see. At CME, we empower those who act. We deliver tools to help manage risk and capture opportunities in every market climate across every major asset class to seize each possibility at precisely the right moment. CME, opportunity is everywhere.
At AG1, one of our values is the continuous pursuit of excellence.
He's still wrong.
For over 15 years, we have upgraded AG1, adding ingredients that the research said would support nutrient gaps and gut health. It's time for the next generation of AG1. AG1 Next Gen has launched with upgraded B vitamins and
Oh shit, I need to touch my tick. I haven't touched that yet.
Order filled.
Our customers
Order
deserve the
submitted.
best, and the best just got much better.
Once you have kids, you want to make sure that they're taken care of. I kept putting it off, but finally I searched best online life insurance, and Ethos came up. I was able to get a rate instantly. It's a relief, to be honest.
Check your price today at ethos.com. Down, up, right, left, inside, out. Sometimes it's hard to make sense with nonsense. Go beyond the headline. Order canceled.
There we go.
Perspective. The economists know which way is up. At Avocado,
That's pretty good.
isn't just comfort. It's consciousness. It's craftsmanship. It's choosing better. Inspired by the beauty of our planet, we design for the dreamers. Every stitch, thoughtfully placed to elevate your sleep. Crafted for the way you rest.
made with the finest natural and organic materials, sustainably sourced, meticulously crafted. Because true luxury isn't just how it feels, it's how it's made. Discover our full line of luxury mattresses at Avocado.
Yeah, Fish, you got your target. Get out. Fucking short. Okay. I'm gonna re-short. Fuck you, Fish. I have a short at 50 now. We'll do the giveaway in about 30 minutes, okay? We'll get some videos and then we'll do $50, $25. We'll do another $25 tomorrow on YouTube.
For griddle, we've got the perfect grill for you. Because only your local Ace has all the best brands in one place, like Weber, Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Blackstone. With free assembly and delivery of your new grill, along with all the sauces, rubs, and grilling
Later, buddy.
you'll have everything you need for your perfect barbecue.
Good job.
That sounds pretty perfect. Around the block, what you need in stock, with service so good it's guaranteed.
Well, the news today, President Trump announcing on Truth Social that there's a deal between the U.S. and China after trade negotiations. We're going to talk this just in with one of the chief negotiators, the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. First on CNBC, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll get a full readout of what those talks between the U.S. and China were about, what was agreed to, and where we all go from here. Some questions remain, despite the president posting positively, including saying, you know, part of the deal was that they would give us the minerals and we would allow the Chinese students. But there's still some questions, David, including what you brought up, which is the export controls on chips and where we stand there.
Yeah, and obviously any number of other negotiations that continue, whether it be with Japan, South Korea, India, which the market is also interested in.
Yeah, July 9th.
Market just chopping now.
A few weeks away.
Yeah. All right. Something else we were talking about earlier is Meta scaling up its AI ambitions, investing $14.3 billion for a 49% stake in Scale AI. That brings the company's co-founder Alexander Wang on board at Meta, and his efforts are going to be to try and pull them ahead in the AI race. Let's bring in Robert Leather to discuss. He's a former VP of product at both Meta and Google. First, Robert, love to get your take on Meta's decision here. You know, they're not taking control, but they obviously are making a significant acquisition, in quotes, so to speak.
My short's gonna hit again.
Yeah, my understanding is that the companies know each other pretty well. I think Meta's been working with SKI for quite some time on labeling.
Order submitted.
5 points if it
They
hits.
actually invested in the company
Yeah.
previously, so obviously they believe that the folks over there can really help them
Order
accelerate what they're doing.
Order
There's
submitted.
some recent disappointments and some progress that might be lagging.
Order canceled.
That's quick.
Yeah, it's interesting in that, I mean, they're bringing Wang over, obviously.
Order
They're paying
submitted.
a big premium for 49% of his company. Do you have any sense, I don't know if you know him or are familiar with the work that he's done or what his ambitions will be over there, or where Meta feels as though it has not been perhaps succeeding so far in the AI race?
Yeah, so a couple things. I think Meta really doesn't have the kind of reasoning models that some of the other companies like OpenAI have yet. So clearly that's going to be really important. And those are also very compute intensive. And so there's going to be a real continuing pressure to scale up on the data center side, which we obviously have heard about before. When it comes to that kind of scaling, I think it's going to be important to get help from the US administration, from obviously other nation states. So I think I know Scale AI and their CEO have been very hawkish on China. They've talked about this publicly, that it's really a race between the US and China in many respects for these technologies. And so it might be that Meta also saw that as a potential benefit to working closely together with Alexander Wang and the company and taking this position in the company. That could also be one of the benefits of doing so.
Who's going to be most scared or threatened by this announcement between Meta and Scale AI?
Well, I think certainly Scale AI has other big AI companies as its customers, and so It might be that there's, they're concerned about confidentiality or other things in that respect going forward. It remains to be seen what it'll look like, what that will look like for them. And I think that's going to be OpenAI, Google, etc. But certainly it's a very important player and a very important component in the AI race. Although of course so is the whole data center side of things as well.
Yeah, and finally, speaking of AI, it's only a day or so ago that we heard from Apple, or a couple of days ago. Not much there in terms of additions to their AI strategy. Sort of curious as to your thoughts about where they stand right now.
I think they're in a tough spot. They clearly are lagging behind in many respects. They do have, obviously, the device as a very important component. They made some announcements about giving developers access to on-device LLMs, which I think is something folks have been looking for and I think will be helpful for developers. But clearly, the package of announcements let folks down a little bit. It was a little bit disappointing. So I do think they still have a lot of work to do because of their enormous footprint.
Oh, you can go right now?
And the real importance of the device when it comes to how people will access.
Your mom go,
So
right?
I think they have a lot to do, and hopefully they'll be doing a lot more in the future.
Yeah, well, we're all waiting. Rob, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice.
Coming up, the latest from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's hearing on Capitol Hill going on right now. Ahead of a big interview we've got for you at the top of the hour, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick joins us live. Plus, CNBC's top states for business rankings just around the corner. How the competitive landscape has transformed and what tariffs have to do with it. That's later on.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Well, hope isn't a good retirement strategy. You've worked for a comfortable retirement for years. Now you need to plan for retirement income. Learn ways to avoid mistakes, like being too conservative or not setting retirement goals. Have someone on your side to keep you on track.
I think market is slow, so let's do some giveaway.
Success, including the Investor's Guide to a Comfortable Retirement. 13 retirement blunders to avoid and maximize your Social Security. Call 1-800-759-4477. Fisher tailors a plan to keep you on track for a retirement you want. And as a fiduciary, we do better when our clients do better. Call now for your comfortable retirement kit. Call 1-800-759-4477. Call us today. You don't have it coming to you unless you plan for it. If your portfolio is $1 million or more, call 1-800-759-4477.
Still trading fish?
Crazy.
She has no idea she's sitting on a gold mine. She doesn't know that if she owns a life insurance policy of $100,000 or more, she can sell all or part of it to Coventry for cash, even a term policy. Even a term policy?
There we go.
Find out if you're sitting on a gold mine. Call Coventry Direct today at 800-476-0100 or visit coventrydirect.com.
Heart health support starts here with Super Beats by Human, supporting your heart health with circulation, blood flow, healthy blood pressure, and energy, with clinically researched ingredients backed by science. Get started today at livehuman.com.
Your shipping manager left to find himself, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Sponsored jobs on Indeed are 2.5 times faster to first hire. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Never miss a moment. One of the people who I've respected over the years, Joe Kiernan, Rick said, this just came out, and we'll just play that for a second. Personal income is
I think these stable coins are actually going to be the savior of dollar hegemony in the world, not a detractor from it. We're going to address the debt problem at the same time as we are
I think
making.
I might end up shorting again.
Sorry, just Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent
Nope, we didn't hit
testified before
50.
the House Ways and Means Committee this hour. Eamon Javers has been listening in, monitoring, and joins us with the headlines. Eamon,
Yeah, David, that's right. You can see that live look in there of the hearing in progress. Treasury Secretary Bessent has been giving a bit of an update on the China negotiations, as well as pitching the president's tax bill, which is the president refers to it as the one big beautiful bill. Treasury Secretary Bessent here calling it OBBB. That's the new nickname for the tax legislation as it moves on Capitol Hill. Treasury Secretary Bessent here saying that the Chinese need to be a reliable partner in these negotiations, and also saying that he's not going to allow China to export its way
Order
across
filled.
the area.
Order
He also talked
submitted.
about the negotiations in Geneva and the bearing that they have now on the negotiations that are taking place in London. Here's what he said.
If China will course correct by upholding its end of the initial trade agreement we outlined in Geneva, and I believe after our talks in London they will, then the rebalancing of the world's
Order canceled.
economies is possible.
He referred to it in his written remarks as one big beautiful rebalancing. So I guess now we have a one big beautiful bill, one big beautiful rebalancing. The Treasury Secretary is saying that the administration's policies here are responsible for relatively low inflation and solid recent stock market performance. And he's urging the committee here to move forward with the president's bill, and obviously updating them a little bit where negotiations are with China. Guys, back over to you.
And what do we know about the agreed upon Geneva deal that they're all pointing to China honoring?
That's what we don't know. I mean, that's the big question here, right? And what was the agreement, if any, in London? I mean, you saw the president's post on social media earlier today, in which he said we have a framework for a deal that'll be signed by Xi Jinping and himself, President Trump. What we don't know is what was agreed to there. The president saying in social media that there are agreements related to magnets, agreements related to
Order filled.
material,
Order
also
submitted.
agreements related to Chinese students in the United States. But that's kind of all we know publicly about what's been struck in terms of a deal in London. We don't have anything in writing, and we don't have any indication of when anything might be signed between these two countries, or if anything will be signed, or if this is just sort of a handshake agreement to continue
Order
on,
submitted.
Post Geneva. It's really unclear right now, and I think that's why lawmakers are trying to press Secretary Bessent up on Capitol Hill to get a little bit more detail.
Right. There's clarity on what happened in London. There's still lingering unclarity on where we stand legally binding wise, Eamon, with the UK, and then who's first in line for another framework, whether that's India or possibly Japan, although they continue to talk tough about autos.
Yeah. Secretary Bessent just said that a number of countries have come to the United States with what he calls unbelievably good offers in terms of trade, and suggested that they are going to have more trade deals, but no evidence of sort of who that would be, when that's coming, what those trade
Order
deals
canceled.
would have. Just saying that this is going to be a successful effort here. And going back over 40 years, the Secretary laying out the history of trade in the U.S. and blaming his predecessors as Treasury Secretary, the previous presidents, for allowing an unbalanced trade system to develop in the world that hurt American workers, and saying that this administration is determined to fix all that.
Indeed. Well, for now, the market's definitely giving all of this the benefit of the doubt as we grind a little bit higher here. Eamon, we'll talk soon. Eamon Javers in Washington. Speaking of all of that, coming up in a few moments, a first on CNBC interview with the Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick. We'll talk about the China trade talks as the president said a deal is done and that the relationship with China is excellent. When we come back, CNBC's annual search for America's top state for business is kicking off. Washington policies, tariffs, federal job cuts, all changing the landscape. We'll talk about why this year's list could look a lot different in a moment.
Franklin Templeton ETFs. With over 70 ETFs, we have solutions for every market, helping advisors build the portfolios of the future today. Franklin Templeton, your trusted partner for what's ahead.
Oh yeah, just one eval and then one 300k apex.
Which way do you turn? Go beyond the headlines.
22024 and then 22011. So I'm not worried.
Inflation and economic uncertainty have affected all of us. But if you have a structured settlement or annuity, JG
Order
Wentworth
canceled.
can help you get a lump sum of
It's only
cash
5 MNQ, so I can add up to 10 later.
future payments.
Since
JG
it's
Wentworth
a
has
big
helped
account.
individuals get over $290
Order
million
submitted.
in the past year alone.
You gotta make more?
Call JG Wentworth today at 877-CASH-NOW and get the cash you need now from your structured settlement. Call now.
It is amazing. We used to have collagen, we used to have a probiotic, a green juice. I replaced it all with this Pharma colostrum. If you don't know what colostrum is, it is amazing, but it's a bioactive whole food. It has all the essential nutrients you need for your skin, your gut, energy, focus, mood, performance, your hair, like immune system. It strengthens, supports all of that. I think the first thing I noticed was the energy and recovery that it had after workout. If you wanted to try it, go tryarmor.com.
For me, Squawk Box is breakfast with the most interesting people in the world.
It's a privilege to get to talk to them every day.
It's
Order
more
filled.
entertaining than any other
Shit,
morning
we
show,
shorted?
but you might get some useful information.
Squawk Box, weekdays.
Order submitted. Order filled. Order submitted.
You grill with charcoal, gas, pellet, or
The
grill.
Ankylo does not want to die.
Because only your local Ace has all
Order
the best brands
filled.
in one place, like Weber, Big Green Egg, Traeger, and Blackstone. With free assembly and delivery of your new grill, along with all the sauces, rubs, and grilling extras, you'll have everything you need for your perfect barbecue. That sounds pretty perfect. Around the block, what you need in stock, with service so good it's guaranteed.
Order submitted.
Hopefully we get a new high day. Yeah.
Order filled.
On that one.
Less than a month away from the reveal of CBC's 2025 top state for business. It's our 19th
Order
year,
submitted.
and big changes in Washington might have a major impact on this year's rankings. Our Scott Cohn is here to tell us how
For now, yeah.
shaping up and how it's accounting, Scott, for this changing world. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, there are a few changes out there, aren't there? And you know, when we built this study way back in 2007, we designed it to be able to adapt to change. And this year really puts that design, that principle to the test. So remember how it works. We start with 10 broad categories of competitiveness. Those are the same from year to year.
Trump
But
is
then
on?
we weight them to reflect what matters most, what the states and companies are
That's what
talking
Cat Daddy is
This year,
saying.
they're talking about the economy in these uncertain
I don't
times.
see anything.
That carries the most weight, edging out infrastructure, which was the top category last year. We look at things like growth, to be sure, but this year we're also factoring in the potential impacts of tariffs, federal job cuts. That is new this year. Hiring may have slowed, but we still have a worker shortage, so workforce remains important. Cost of doing business moves up as inflation fears persist, even with today's number. And a lot more talk this year about business friendliness. We do still look
Order
at quality of
filled.
life. It carries a little less weight, kind of along with
Order
workforce
filled.
as hiring slows.
There we go.
In technology and innovation, we're factoring in the potential impact of federal research cuts. That's very different from state to state. That's followed by education, access to
Order
capital,
submitted.
and the cost of living. We'll be crisscrossing the country in the coming weeks to tell you more about all these issues, and we wind up, as we always do, in this year's top state. You'll be able to see where your state ranks, follow our journey, read all about it, how we do all this, the details of our
Order
methodology,
submitted.
topstates.cnbc.com. You're doing this at a time where it's a pretty raucous debate about the federal government and especially blue states. Right. Watching the situation in LA. And then there's the issue of higher education, which of course has always been a huge draw, at least at the city level, right? Right. That's important, and particularly the research grants.
Order filled.
Every year in our technology and innovation category, which seems to be
Order
picking up
submitted.
more steam. We look at grants. That was one of the ways that we've measured it. Well, now we had to also
Order
look at it as a
submitted.
negative and look at what states are
See
doing
that
on their
3
own to
minutes.
fund
3 minutes looks like it's about to top out in a little
in that
bit.
all-important economy category. We have to look at
15 minutes still got more upside, so maybe we'll get new high day and then dump.
Order filled. Order filled.
be opportunities for
Order submitted.
More upside.
busiest time in 30 years.
I just want to stop you on the tariff. So you're looking at
what?
Oh, I'll just short this
Order
shit.
submitted.
I might just need to stop
States
trying
with
to short
exposure
now.
to international trade, states with more exposure to China. And we have some data that we've had done exclusively for us for this study. We're going to be talking more about this next week. We're going to be at the Port of Oakland. And we'll talk a little bit about the ups and downs of that. Because again, there's some opportunity.
Order filled. Order filled. Order filled.
Opening up his search for a U.S. location, in part because of the tariffs. So there's things like that, but also
And
there
then
is
out.
downside too.
There we
It's really an interesting year that way.
Order
What
submitted.
about, I guess, immigration or the
No, I
green
have
card
3 M&Q, so I try to make like $20, $25.
important component as well, right?
Workforce is interestingly
Yeah.
not as important as it was in recent years. For a couple years there, it was the top category and everything was all about people. Well, now we have.
So my trade fly is pretty good right now.
We're still about
I think I need 600 more for a payout. And then TPT Pro is pretty good too.
Picking up some of the slack as well. So workforce is still very, very important, and it probably always will be just demographically, but not quite as important this year. But the whole immigration crackdown plays into that. It's for however
Order
you feel about
filled.
it does impact the number of available workers.
Order submitted.
It's going to be
All-time high?
Order filled.
I know you're busy. 19 years. This is 19 years.
Order submitted.
Amazing. Scott, thanks. Talk soon. Scott, coming up next hour, a can't miss interview with the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, fresh off of those talks.
Order
in London with
submitted.
China.
Order
That
canceled.
conversation is coming
baby.
up after this
Order
break.
filled.
There we go.
Order submitted.
Yeah. In and out. I'm trying to find new
Order
accounts to touch because there's a lot of
Order
accounts.
submitted. Order submitted.
This one.
Order filled. Order submitted.
This is a story about the one. The untrained eye may not see the one as extraordinary, but her goals aren't easy. She fixes, she manages, she perfects. She is extraordinary. Because for the one, maintaining this space transports her to this space.
Yeah, I'm taking different accounts, Cat Daddy.
Work post-fatherhood has really been trying to understand the generation that we're building devices for.
Order filled.
We're building an integrated in-home Wi-Fi solution for millions of families like my own. In the average household, there are dozens of connected devices. Connectivity is a big part of my boys' lives. It brings people together in meaningful ways.
Order canceled.
There we go.
Order submitted.
What up, coffee?
Begins and ends with you.
Good. Just
Order submitted.
trying to make money.
Solution. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. Our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there.
Nice.
Experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Coordinate.
It's time to feed the dogs real food in the right amount. A healthy weight can help dogs live a longer, happier life. The Farmer's Dog makes weight management easy with fresh food pre-portioned for your dog's needs. It's an idea whose time has come.
They just parents planned for adventure, but they didn't plan for him to make a new adventure.
Oh, let me do the $25 giveaway too. So I can do 2 giveaway at the same time. Hold on. Custom $25.
Order filled.
Order filled.
Adding my trade.
Order submitted. Order submitted. Order filled.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Money Movers. I'm Carl Quintanilla with Sarah Eisen at Post 9 of the New York Stock Exchange. Today, quote,
Order filled.
the president says China will supply rare earths as U.S. and Chinese negotiators reach a
Order
framework to
submitted.
restore trade truce and de-escalate some of these economic tensions. We'll talk about it with the Commerce Secretary, fresh back from those London talks.
Order filled.
Chewy shares are tumbling amid concerns about shrinking margins after a healthy run-up in the past year. We are joined by the CEO, Sumit Singh, in just a few minutes.
And quantum computing stocks definitely on the move. NVIDIA CEO says the technology is approaching an inflection point, but should investors stay cautious and consider this more hype than reality?
First up in the markets, nice steady climb throughout the morning. News of the U.S.-China trade deal helping. Also more benign inflation reports, both headline and core consumer prices coming in lower than expected. The S&P is up another third of 1%. We're getting awfully close to the highs, about 1.5% away. Only staples materials right now are the
Oh,
groups
you
that
only
are
do
lower
one
in the
giveaway at the
S&P
same
500.
time. Okay,
Treasuries
you can't do
rallying
two,
too.
so I gotta wait
We
for this
begin
one.
in Washington, where we are continuing to monitor Treasury
I don't
Secretary
wanna-
Scott Bessent's testimony
10 minutes,
before
10
House
minutes.
Ways and Means. We'll bring any headlines there as they develop. But first, the president did say a deal restoring the China trade truce is done. And joining us now first on CNBC, just home from those trade negotiations in London, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Secretary Lutnick, thank you for the time. Good to see you.
Great to see you. So, we're there all night long, and then you have me here, and you got Scott Bessent with Ways and Means. So, we're working. This cabinet's working round the clock.
I was going to say, I hope you sleep on the plane. So give us the details. When the president says a U.S.-China trade deal is done, what does he mean?
So, what happened is they set up the Geneva truce, if you will, right? Tariffs came down, but the Chinese had these rare earth magnets, and they were slow rolling it. And so we started putting on, the United States, when they weren't delivering the rare earth magnets, we started putting on our countermeasures, right? We cut planes, ethanol. Marco Rubio put out that students may not be able to come to America. Scott Bessent put out, look, we're going to go send subpoenas to all the banks. And we were at mutual assured annoyance, if you will. And then Donald Trump got on the phone with President Xi, and he changed everything. He basically said, we're friends. Let's be positive. When America and China are working well together, they all work great for the world. Let's go get this done. And that was the quote over and over again. President Xi by their side, President Trump on our side. And it was very positive. And we just worked very positively into the night to get this deal done. They are going to approve all applications for magnets from United States
So
companies.
3 minutes, it is
Think of that language
touching the
right
top now.
away. Very much like the same day. And then as they do that, we'll take off our measures, and we're in a great place.
And look at the squeeze, it's almost gone. Only got 2 left now.
President Trump's got to
Maybe we'll get dumped doing power over.
It's not really wording, it's really the deal. But both sides are really positive. I feel great about it.
Okay, that's good to hear. So when you said, so you're talking about the licenses that they were holding back for rare earth minerals, right? Essentially that we need in production of manufacturing and defense. They're going to release that.
Shit, something hit.
Right, if you think about these things, these magnets are part of a starter of a motor. Remember, motors are electric, so everything we've got that has a motor in it pretty much has one of these magnets.
After I get out, I need to stop trading. I'm over trading now.
This is not new technology. It's like old. But China uses it. And what happens is China got 90% market share. Now, the Biden administration had the ability to change this, and they blew it. They put out press releases. They were going to fix it, and they just blew it. So Trump went in. President Trump went in. President Xi got us on the right track. We're totally on the right track, and now we're going to, just go forward with China. I think things feel really good. We left the room. Everybody was very positive. We left at midnight. 14 hours yesterday, 10 hours the day before. It took a lot of detail. But, with President Trump in background and President Xi behind their guys, with that positive view, it worked out pretty well. So I'm really excited about how it's going to work for America.
What took so long? What 14 hours? What was the...
Oh shit, I didn't touch my Apex that's capped out. I need to touch that later.
Order submitted.
They're always trying to remove our export controls. And Scott
Order filled. Order canceled. Order filled.
There we go.
No, so you want no export controls? Fine. I'd like to take home a couple of your.
I need to stop. I want to overtrade. I need to stop.
So it was just disarming, you know. So the way to
I'm
do
gonna do
it
one more
correctly
at 65.
Order
deeply
submitted.
respectful. There was no yelling and screaming.
Yeah,
none of
just
that
trying to
stuff.
get a couple
It was
points.
just deeply
Get
respectful.
closer to
Let's get
payout.
down to it. Our leaders want this to be positive. They want this to go well.
It's a
Let's make
contest.
sure we get it
It's
done.
got 8
There's
minutes
lots
before
of
the
detail.
giveaway.
Remember, they only approved U.S. companies doing it. They wouldn't let us. We tried to do it for the world. We tried to
I
negotiate
need
for
to
the world.
increase
Tried to get
size
it
up
done,
on
and they would
this
say, no,
one.
that's our responsibility. We are willing to do
Order
this
submitted.
for America, only for Donald Trump, and only for America. So that was the agreement. This is an American agreement. If you're an American company and you need magnets, they are going to approve it right away, which is what we needed. We tried for everybody else, but in the end, we did what we needed, and we will take off our countermeasures as they approve these magnets. We will approve we will remove our countermeasures, and we'll be good. We have our tariffs. They are excellent. They are great for America. The trading deal is great for America, and they've agreed. We're going to examine how
Order
China can
submitted.
do more business with us. You know, we've got a giant trade deficit. How about China? You buy more of our agriculture. You can buy more of our equipment. And I think they've agreed to that. We're going to go through that over the next couple of months.
That's funny.
This feels very, very positive. President Trump set the course in a very positive way. And I think this is really, really good for the foundation of our trade deals for America. This feels really good. I felt really good leaving last night.
Well, Mr. Secretary, it's potentially very good for the markets if they can be convinced that these numbers, these tariff levels are not going to change from here. Can we say that?
You can definitely say that.
55%, I guess, is the total, including what? The fentanyl tariffs, the higher tariffs on China, the 10% that we had
Remember,
previously.
you've got all the tariffs that President Trump set in his first term, right? And those never came up. We never discussed them at all. We have the fentanyl tariffs, and you know, they said, look, it's very hard for us to stop fentanyl. We said, well,
There you go. It's dropping, baby.
in like an hour. You stop the magnets in an hour. How can you
Damn,
not stop
some news
fentanyl
going on?
ingredients
Us?
in an hour? Come on, you could do it if you wanted to do
Yeah.
it. And they said, look, that's not on the table. So we said, okay. So we sent experts in the other room to discuss it. But the end result was they are on, the 20% fentanyl tariffs are on, and the 10%.
Oh, damn. That drop. Hell yeah.
For this, plus the 25 from this first term, you know, we're in a very
Gotta be some news.
position.
Is there a bot we can have for news like right away? I hate looking it up.
That Donald Trump had with President Xi last Thursday. I mean, think about it. They agreed to get together right away, and we got
I ain't
together.
complaining.
And I want to say that people from the UK couldn't have been kinder.
Yeah.
They set up everything. They were fantastic.
Oh,
for us.
they cat died.
created a
Someone's
great
speaking.
place. And I got to tell you, the room we were in was a perfect. I never felt more comfortable because every inch of the room was gold leafed. I mean, it was like Donald Trump. It was like the perfect place to negotiate a Donald Trump deal. President Trump would have loved that room. It was perfect for the Americans.
Where does it leave? I think the street's curious, Mr. Secretary, how you're thinking about some of the export controls, especially on chips. As a
Woohoo! There we go. I'm out. There we go, baby. I'm out. All out. I'm flat on everything. That's a nice drop. That's what I needed. Fuck yeah.
For sure. So we are just not going to give them our best chips.
Hell yeah. I think I'm done. I need to log out. Unless we pump again. I was sweating. There we go. Got out with $200 on this one. Damn, that drop. What the fuck?
They do every time, and we always say no. But we needed to make sure that when they pulled out their card of these,
Yeah, what a drop.
we put in ours that said,
I gotta make sure I don't have any pending orders before I start this giveaway.
we have too many things
Cancel
like
everything
playing
out.
cards, right? You can't stockpile.
Last night I had 2 shorts when I was out eating dinner and came back home, made $400. An accident too, so I'm gonna make sure I cancel
Order
it.
cancel.
Cancel.
trying to run it
Bouncing
out
like
of it in the
that,
middle of
nice.
last thing. So
Order
if you
canceled.
annoy us, the United States of America under Donald Trump is strong enough to annoy you back equally. And then Donald Trump decided, rather than going negative, let's go all positive. And he created really the right environment for us to do a very positive deal with the Chinese. The Chinese want to go in with a win-win attitude. It was very important to them that it come out.
All right, let me pick the winner. I got 3 minutes left.
And then Donald Trump set the stage for us to have a win-win outcome. And that's why we feel so good. The president feels so good because it was very positive. We stayed very positive. None of this yelling and screaming and that kind of stuff. This was a positive amount of time. We had to get through every topic and every detail, but it was very, very positive for America. And I think it's positive for China as well.
So, and you said that the presidents, Xi and Trump, just have to fully approve it. I mean, finally approve it. Don't trade deals have to be approved by Congress?
No, remember, this cleans up the Geneva deal that we accept. So this is...
What is the Geneva deal? Can you tell us what's in that?
Sure. What it basically says is you will approve, they set up this whole new process of licenses for rare earths, right? And so they set up this whole new process, and it really wasn't working. They said, gee, we're trying to do it. But, you know, we have thousands of applications, and they had approved 98. You know, so like we have thousands of applications for little companies who want this for their motors, and they're just going way too slow. So what we did is we changed the model that if an American company applies, they will approve it right away. And we send them we back the applications and they're approved right away. And that was the key change. We took down the tariffs, as you remember, in Geneva. We took down the tariffs. They had kept this rare earth, sort of approval process in place. But we showed them that we have equal approval processes on all sorts of things that they rely on in America. And that balance created the opportunity for Donald Trump to come over the top with President Xi.
All right, let's see. Club box giveaway.
Right away, Monday and Tuesday.
1 minute.
After their Thursday call last week, Monday and Tuesday, and just get this off the table. And it's off the table. I mean, we know they were talking to President Xi.
It bounced back to 60. I'm gonna try to short again.
This issue, we are confident, is off the table because the two leaders made it so. And we're really excited about the prospects for the rest of our trade deals in
I'm gonna try
America.
short and Q instead of cheap
About that because clock is ticking. You guys have set the deadline for early July to have more trade deals. We're expecting more to come. What can you tell us about the progress of any of the ones you're working on? We thought Japan, India were close. We got this framework from the UK, but what else is coming there?
Oh, there are so many coming, but when you've got Scott, Jason, and I spending, 25 hours locked in a room with the Chinese, we're not really doing the other deal. Yes, our teams are moving them forward, but, now we're going to be focused, starting today, we're going to be focused on other deals. We're going to get them done. We're in good shape with lots of countries, but good shape isn't good enough for the United States of America. We want great deals that are fundamental for America. We can get them. We can get them done. We need to open these other countries' markets. Our farmers, our ranchers, our fishermen, they are going to have just a great time. Our machinists, we sell lots of equipment overseas. Boeing always does amazingly well in these deals. So this is the key to us. Can we open
Let me pick the winner.
and end this nonsense of a $1.2 trillion trade deficit? And that's what we're working on. And you're going to see deal after deal that's going to start coming next week and the week after and the week after. We've got lots of them in the hopper. We just want to make sure they're the best deal we possibly can make. We don't want to rush. And Donald Trump is never going to accept a rush. He only accepts the best from us, and we're going to give it to him.
He did post this morning about the courts and the appeals courts allowing these tariffs to stay in place for now. But
let me pick the winner now. First one is Super Mario. Let's see, you have the hours in.
Ultimately, Donald Trump has so many authorities in America in which to execute this plan. If you don't do it this way, we'll do it another way. So these countries, I'll give you an example. It never, ever came up.
You got it. You got 12 points, so you got it, dude.
The Chinese never once did the court case come up about, why should they, what's going to happen if we lose. None. In all these conversations, the conversations of all these other countries, they talk about it, but they understand Donald Trump's in charge. This tariff model's not going away. So let's get the right deal with him.
Let me do the cash giveaway.
Which deal is proving toughest for your team?
What's that? Say it again.
Oh, I can't. Need to close this one out. Okay, let me get your code. Got your Twitter now.
They just weren't, they just weren't really engaging, and that's why you remember President Trump sent out a truth saying, "Okay, you're not going to talk to us. Why don't you just pay us 50%?" And that all of a sudden, they got a little religion and made a proper offer. And once you make a proper offer, then the process begins. Remember, there are 15,000 lines of code of every product and every kind of tariff. And you just got to work through those, get those down, get America the proper opportunity to trade into these countries. Remember, we don't really sell cars there. Why don't we sell cars in Europe? Because they make the rules unfair for us. So we need to fix those rules so they're fair. That takes a lot of work, but Europe has said they're on it now. They're going to do it. So I'm optimistic that we can get there, but Europe will be probably the very, very end. They are, I got to tell you, tough to deal with because there's 27 countries and a non-elected person in charge. So they have like the opposite of Donald Trump. They have the opposite of Donald Trump.
Finally, Mr. Secretary, I know you managed risk your whole career. So how are you managing the risk that once again China maybe doesn't comply with these critical minerals licenses? What happens then? Do we go back to London for another agreement about the agreement?
Well, you got to remember that what they've agreed to approve our licenses and deliver the magnets.
Let me start the other giveaway.
Coming to our universities, us not subpoenaing all their banks and going through all their banks' records to
Yo,
find every
wait,
single
get on the
bank
YouTube thing
wrong,
first.
that they want
Get the other
everything,
giveaway.
they want,
$25 cash.
So we could do to them what they'll do to us. So why bother? So I think that's off the table. I think President Trump played it just right. He set up that we can do to them at least as much.
No, you don't have points. Just log on.
Third or half of what we can do. All the stuff higher than that. Oh my God! You got to remember, every chip in the world is made with American technology. Cars have 300 chips in them. You don't get our chips, you're not making cars. So we had a long way to go.
Thank you. Went back
Take
up.
it out. President Trump took the positive route, and so I don't think that's going to happen because they know that President Trump holds just as many cards, and they actually know, of course, because he's got the biggest economy in the world, he's got more cards.
Well, we know you're very busy and have a lot more deals to get to, so thank you for the time and for the readout.
It was my pleasure to be here, and you can tell the administration feels so good, and working together with Scott and Jameson was really so much fun. It was one of the best times I've had in a tough negotiation. Having those two as my partners couldn't have been better.
All right, good to hear it. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary of the U.S., very, very positive on what was agreed to and the dynamic. I think important for investors, the markets, to hear in a little more detail and color, on especially the approval of those licenses for the magnets around rare earth minerals that we need from them. They have granted, so we will stop pushing back. To be continued on the other trade deals. CEO of Chewy coming up right after the break. Stock had doubled over the past year, but shares are falling today after an earnings miss and some concerns about margins. We're going to get into that next.
I got your Twitter. I'm going to give you the code. Give me 1 second.
CPI print, plus what the prospects of a shadow Fed might mean for monetary policy. President once again calling for a full point cut this morning, as you can see, would be great.
I gotta milk this.
For tomorrow. I'm looking to talk to sophisticated investors, beginning investors. I'm always learning.
Closing Bell Overtime, weekdays 4 Eastern and streaming on CNBC+.
I started the club to make you a better investor.
The value you're going to get from making better investments more than outweighs whatever the cost of the membership is.
Get invested. Join the club today. Go to cnbc.com/join-Jim.
Goldilocks needs a place of her own, and fast. Thankfully, she's on Redfin. They update their listings every 2 minutes. And with so many options, she's bound to find exactly what she wants.
This one's just right. Is she leaving? Yes.
Oh, it's happening. It is happening.
It is amazing. They used to have a collagen, used to have a probiotic, a green juice. I replaced it all with this Arma colostrum. If you don't know what colostrum is, it is amazing, but it is a bioactive whole food. It has all the essential nutrients you need for your skin, your gut, energy, focus, mood, performance, your hair, like immune system. It strengthens, supports all of that. I think the first thing I noticed was the energy and recovery that it had after workout, but if you want to try it, we'll try armor.com.
What if you could invest in a future where skin cancer treatment is non-invasive and relatively painless? Medicus Pharma's groundbreaking solution delivers chemotherapy directly to the tumor site, offering a mostly painless alternative to invasive surgeries. With the skin cancer treatment market expected to exceed $20 billion by 2030, Medicus is poised to meet the demand for cost-effective, non-surgical options. Now advancing Phase 2 studies. Medicus Pharma, leading the charge in skin cancer innovation.
We're Mizuho. Sound familiar? Financing the aluminum giant, building better homes? Mizuho was there. The merger of two logistics titans? Also us. Anywhere an industrials company needs a corporate and investment bank, we're there. Mizuho Americas.
When logic bends, when certainties shatter, when left is right and right is left, which way do you turn? Go beyond the headlines. A trusted global perspective. The Economist. Know which way is up.
We just signed the lease on our third shop. My assistant went to customink.com to get new uniforms with all the locations. He found great products, uploaded new art, and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at customink.com.
You founded your kayak company because you love the ocean, not spreadsheets. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Optimism isn't sunshine and rainbows. It's fixing things, changing the way we fix things. Rolled up sleeves, breaking through, growing power to meet growing needs, working to run the world on smarter energy every day, taking power where the grid's never been, then getting up and doing it again. Because if optimism never stops, then change can't either. GE Vernova, the energy of change.
CNBC Disruptor 50 is sponsored by GE Vernova, the energy of change.
Welcome back. Shares of Chewy are sinking this morning. The pet products and services company did beat revenue estimates, reaffirmed full-year guidance, missed a bit on earnings. The stock had been on a tear heading into the report. It's still up 80% over the past 12 months. And joining us now first on CNBC is Chewy CEO, Sumit Singh. It's great to have you back. Sumit, I guess when you have that kind of performance, 25% run up in the last 3 months into the quarter, the expectations are high, but maybe some concern around the margin decline. What are you telling investors?
We are very proud of the results that we've delivered, Sarah. So just to put it in context, our growth is 2 times the industry projected growth this year, which means clearly we're taking share. At the bottom line, we've guided to an expansion of adjusted EBITDA again at about 75 basis points at the midpoint. And then finally, at the midpoint, we are going to generate about $550 million of free cash flow, which indicates we're going to convert 80% of that profitability, to free cash flow. So clearly, whether you look at the income statement or whether you look at the balance sheet, and our growth is being driven by structural growth, which then tells that the scale that we've achieved is allowing us to drop every dollar at a much more efficient level. And so I think as investors digest the numbers that we've come up with and how we're looking forward with the bullishness in the way that we're projecting the rest of the year to go through, I think nerves will settle down.
I mean, some of the analysts are saying the gross margin slightly disappointed, and because you reaffirmed guidance, it implies a little bit of a slowdown in the second half. Is that true?
I think, look, right now, it's prudent for us to play, perhaps another quarter and then revisit these numbers at the middle of the year. We've only played 1 quarter. What we've done is we've delivered 8% growth above guidance in the first quarter. We've reconfirmed 7 to 8% growth in the second quarter. So yeah, so math would suggest, a deceleration. But candidly, given kind of how the momentum of the business is, I think it's prudent to be a bit conservative and reserve the right to come back out and then guide the street again, perhaps at midpoint. Now, talking about gross margins, Sarah, since the time we went public in 2019 and through today, gross margins have expanded 1,200 basis points. And so we have a steady track record of incremental margins on a year-over-year basis. And we focus, given our long-term focus, we're less focused on sort of quarterly fluctuations. And for the year, given that we're guiding EBITDA expansion, clearly gross margin has a pretty vital role to play in that. So we're pretty happy with the performance coming out of Q1, and we really look forward to successful and robust FY25.
You think, how would you describe the pricing backdrop right now? You feel like you'd have to get promotional if things softened up, or is the pricing environment robust?
Yeah, Carl, the pricing environment is quite robust right now. We saw very minimal inflation. Our growth was driven as a result of active customer adds growing about 4% and share of wallet growing roughly about 4%. And so it's all structural growth, not with the benefit of pricing. Now, as the talk of tariffs continue, discretionary categories like hard goods, if the prices does increase, we wouldn't be surprised to see some price increases in those categories towards the back half of the year. But we'll take a scientific approach. We're ready and standing by to kind of respond to that. But as of now, we're very well insulated from both the tariff impact as well as the structural components of the growth that we're driving.
What about the macro impact? There's always this debate about whether it's a discretionary purchase to buy more treats and toys for your pets, or even to buy pets at all, or whether it's a staple. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so our consumables and health continues to drive roughly 85% of our net sales, which is why I say that we're relatively insulated when it comes to sort of discretionary per se. In addition to that, if you notice this quarter, 82% of our sales was driven by what we call this quasi-subscription product, which is auto-ship, right? Which was up, 400 basis points or plus 400 basis points year over year and grew at 2 times the rate of company sales. So from a recurring, repeat order purchase point of view, we feel consumers are really participating. They're engaging. We're pulling more dollars.
I'm going to pick a winner now.
And, we feel really good about going into the second quarter.
Smooth. Think you have enough points. Let's see.
Does that mean that you're taking a lighter touch when it comes to...
You don't have 2 points. I'm sorry, dude.
Not at all. We actually, what we're proud of is the fact
Gotta pick another winner.
To make expansions and investments that will open up newer choices for consumers. Last time when I was here, we talked about our investment in Chewy.
Whoever this guy is. Let me check him out.
We're also currently expanding Canada. And so
you only got 1 point.
We've just expanded out of the Chewy Plus membership program out of beta mode into a full scale mode. And so, it's all about having enough strategic levers in the portfolio to continue to grow revenue, making the investments, but having an efficient engine, a really good, healthy mix of portfolio, and an efficient supply chain and operations fulfillment structure that allows you to scale margins while you're making the investments. And that's exactly what we're doing.
No, I know you've done a lot on automation.
He won. I think he has enough points. Yeah, he got 31 points. You won.
So we have, as I said, we have very little exposure to, China. Less than 15% of our revenue is coming through hard goods, and not all of that is actually made in China. And so, we have a really good supply chain team. We've essentially gotten ahead of it across our retail, finance, and supply chain partners. We're essentially making sure that we use the power of our balance sheet to be able to secure the inventory, and at the same time.
Yeah, all you need is 10 points just today, and it's good for the whole month. So just get the points in. I'm gonna log off because I gotta get some stuff work to do. Bye.